met a gypsy.
Justin Montesalvo, welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me, mate.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I've actually been wanting to do this with you for ages. Like, Maddie's spoke about you for forever, and it's always one of those. There's guests out there that I'm like, oh, we'll definitely do that. We'll definitely do that. Yeah. Just because your story is insane. The business that you guys have built with Patriot Campers, the YouTube channel, Patriot Games. And it's just I think it's a really cool Aussie story of just a dude having a crack, and it just fucking blew up deluxe for you.
Oh, dude, and that's the key to it, and that's what it was all about, and it's still all about. We're just having a crack. Yeah, we're not out to. I don't know. I think everybody's got this kind of false expectation that we're so focused on the commercial viability of the business or what we put on the YouTube channel. We do it for the audience, but it's never been that. Yeah. It's just us being us and doing what we do and the success that comes with it. You know what I mean? And I think that's the key. We're just having a crack, man. Yeah.
So maybe let's start with the scope of where you guys are at now, so that people listening that haven't heard of Patriot Campers can get an idea of where you're at, and then maybe go back to the beginning, where it started, because I think it's cool to know, like, because you guys have fucking murdered it. Like, it is a wildly successful brand on a lot of different fronts too.
Yeah, on a lot of different levels. The Patriot Campers now, look, we don't. It's been and this is why I've kind of been a little bit nervous about today, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't let a lot of people in on the commercial side of the business, because what it does is it makes us a target. Yes. You know what I mean? And we'll probably get into that a little bit more, and I can see this conversation going that way already straight out of the gate. And that's where I've been a little bit nervous about today, because we don't film inside the factory. We don't talk about the success of Patriot Campers. I mean, obviously people get to see it third party, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But we learnt very early in the piece, when Patriot Campers first started, and, the first 12 months of Patriot Campers, when the business started blowing up, it was all, it was the underdog stuff. Yeah, go for it. Good on you guys. Family business, all the rest of it. And then,
and then it switches.
Was just overnight, dude, the tables turned. Yeah. And it just turned. It's like,
it's very unfortunate.
Look at these capitalist guys. Yeah. How dare he make money? Why does he have that now? Why does he own that? And then that started filtering through to our customers as well. You know what I mean? It started filtering into our customers that when something went wrong with one of our products, and things go wrong with our products, we have a warranty department. I say it to everybody, as long as Toyota has a warranty department, so will Patriot Campers. Yeah. We've never said we're perfect. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when those things start going wrong, it became very personal, like really personal, to the point of, like, if Justin put as much effort into his TV show as he did to his customers, you know what I mean? It started going down that path, and it was really quickly in the piece that we kind of, we flipped the whole script on really where our marketing went, and that's where Patriot Games came from. So if you look at our two audiences, and we have two very distinct audiences. We have Patriot Campers as a brand, which I've been very heavily focused over the past 2 or 3 years, removing me as the face of that brand. Yeah. But I'm the face of Patriot Games. Yeah. There will always be a synergy, The audience will always connect the two. Yeah. And we'll never get rid of that. But it's sad. Yeah. It is. It's sad. It's sad that it's gotten to the point, off the back of all of our hard work and everything that we've done and aspired to be, that personal element still comes into it.
Man, honestly, like, I can relate to that in such a big way, because, like, it has been the biggest fear of mine. Like, I'm scared of this to be as successful as it probably will be. The judgment, and it's purely, like, because I work hard as fuck at it. Yeah, and it's like, to me, this is fun. Like, this is such a fun job. I get to, like, what is it that I do? I get to interview really cool fucking people. Yeah. I get to learn, like, 3 hours in a room with, like, really smart, really successful, really cool people. Like, that is such a great thing for me to do. And then I get to try and put that out to people. I get to try and spread this good message. I get to fuck with the studio. I've got, Ronan's a super cool employee. You know what I mean? Like, but the problem is, you get bigger and you grow and you start doing bigger numbers, and ultimately that comes with a fucking price tag.
It is, and it's so hard to deal with, dude. It is so hard to find that. I mean, you should be scared. You know what I mean? But I think the thing is, you know, as arrogant as it sounds, you have to develop that thick skin, man. You have to. And don't get me wrong, man. We're not, you know, we're not the Kardashians. You know, we don't. You know, we're not on that level.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have, you know, 100 million followers on TikTok. You know, but just the small piece of, I suppose, fame that we've had.
Yeah.
It comes with a price tag, man, and especially when you're in the position. This is what I think a lot of people don't really understand. Patriot Games don't pay my bills.
Yeah.
It doesn't pay my mortgage. Patriot Campers does. So we're in this really unique position that we let the audience in on our personal family time, but the attack comes at our brand. You know,
yeah.
We're not reliant on our content as an income. You know, like most of the influencers or YouTubers or, you know, they are, or TV shows, you know, they are relying on that income. They're relying on that, and that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when and I can handle the attack through Patriot Games. That stuff doesn't bother me at all. You know, people, if you don't like the show, turn it off, man.
Oh man.
Change the channel.
Yeah.
But don't attack the success of me, my family, and really importantly, my team. You know, because, man, the people I've got at Patriot Campers, dude, fuck, I hope every business owner can actually say that. I've got a culture at Patriot Campers of people that take it as personally as I do, man.
Yeah.
And it hurts, you know. When people attack the brand, it hurts, and it hurts 130 people.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it tough on that front, man.
Yeah, fuck, man. Yeah, that's crazy. It's I didn't realize that any of that was really a thing. I mean, it makes sense because even just the shit that I get on, you know, YouTube comments and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, fuck, the position that you're in. Yeah, it's hard. Like that is such a problem with Aussie culture in a lot of ways.
I didn't want to be the one to say it. No, it's just come out of your mouth because the reaction that we get in the United States over the success is like, mate, they love ballers. You know what I mean? It's like the more successful you are in the US, the more people want to know you and want to support you.
Yeah.
In Australia, the Australian culture, for some reason, it's quite suppressive when it comes to success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to get so much hate on that comment, but that's
it is the reality of it.
That's the reality of it, man. You know, and you talk to anybody who has, you know, like a multi-franchise that, you know, exists in different countries or different markets, they will all tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just sad, dude. It's hard to deal with.
Well, man, I don't think it's limited to just Australia though. Like,
of course not. No.
There's definitely, like, I watch a guy, Adam 22, he's like a podcast dude in America, and he's like interviews rappers and shit, and I've been watching him for like years, and you can just see that you get to this certain level and then it's just like once you reach there's like a perceived level of success or fame, and then it's like, here come the fucking dogs, like release the hounds. Like you've literally, it's like a tax bracket. Once you're in a tax bracket, release the hounds. Like, but everyone fucking hates
it's
on
the
you.
mob mentality that comes with social media as well.
Yeah,
you know
well,
what
once
I mean?
There's social proof in something, like that it's fun to hate this person, or it's okay to...
It's okay to do it, and then you get... And look, here's the other thing, though. It always has been, and it always will be, a minority.
Yeah.
A minority of that group.
A vocal minority.
A vocal minority, exactly. And that's the key to it, because you will have this group and you will have a minority percentage of that group, you know, the keyboard warriors or whatever you want, mob mentality or whatever you want to call it. They are the vocal ones, you know. But it's funny because the comments, the positive comments come more face to face than they do behind a keyboard. You know what I mean? And it's... You would know.
Yeah.
You would know. And I think, look, we obviously, you know, we're getting to know a lot more people that are a lot more public figures. And, you know, it's funny when you sit down and you have those conversations that everybody has that
everyone sort of says the same shit. Yeah.
Everyone says the same.
So, yeah, like for you to say, like, you're going to get hate for saying that, like, pretty much everyone that has any level of success that comes on this show has, like, mentioned
they'll be sitting there driving in their car and on their head and going, yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you will get, you know, the comments will start coming through from the people that don't understand that statement.
But it's fucking, like, I wonder if there's something to the fact that there was 750 convicts sent on a ship to it. You know what I mean? So, like...
we get that in the US all the time. Like, that's like the running joke, because we spend a lot of time in America.
Yeah.
You know, prior to this, you know, global situation. Like, I mean, the year 2017, my wife and I flew to the States 7 times, man.
Yeah.
We spent more than 6 months of that year in the US.
Yeah.
And that joke, man, don't think the rest of the world's forgotten about it.
Yeah, no.
Because, man, they bring it up. They bring it up all the time, eh?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You got to laugh, you know?
Yeah, I actually lived in the US for like 8 years.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Whereabouts?
Pretty much like in California, most of it.
Yeah.
So like I lived in Temecula for probably like the first 4 years, and then I sort of moved around like Huntington Beach and Beverly Hills, like sort of moved around a bit. But I traveled so much with work. I was like a filmmaker over there.
Okay.
So I pretty much saw like almost every state. I think I was.
Yeah, well, you're a lot more exposed to that culture over there than I am.
Yeah, but I mean, 7 times in a year to go over there.
Oh, dude, wild.
Yeah, that's
wild. You know. I think where it kind of changed for us, you know, we done an upgrade on like the 3rd flight and flew business.
Yeah.
And dude, you can never go back, eh?
Nah.
Nope.
Nah.
Like never again.
I've only done one, and it fucked every other flight for me.
Oh, we just started racking up the points. I don't think we've ever even paid for business, to be honest with you. My wife does all that stuff, and we do the upgrade, but I'd never fly their economy ever again. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it definitely is nice. So you get the jammies and
yeah. Oh hell yeah, it's good.
So where are we at? Like, to paint the picture of Patriot. Wait, Ron, can you turn down just level 2 on the mic a little bit? No, on the actual box here, just a tiny bit.
Was that my exhale?
Yeah, which is good though. I like it nice and loud. Yeah. So where are we at overall, like paint the picture company wise?
Patriot Campers right now. So, I mean, where do I even start? So we're still, you know, we're still very, very focused on manufacturing in Australia, where I'm a 3rd generation Australian manufacturer, and we take a lot of pride in manufacturing in Australia. So our main facility is here on the Gold Coast in Malone. We employ 100 people at the main facility. We've actually just purchased another facility. Yeah. So to double our footprint, we'll be moving into that or taking that over at the end of this month. Yeah, it's big, 2 or 3 years in the making. I have another business up in Brisbane called Express Metal Products, which does all the material processing for a very wide variety of customers. But Patriot Campers is very quickly becoming the biggest customer of that business. So that business is moving down the Gold Coast as well. Yeah, I'm bringing it back home. Yeah, and kind of putting everything under the management structure or the organisational structure that we've developed at Patriot Campers over the past 7 years. So all up, we employ about 130 people. We've got 7 dealerships here in Australia currently. We have 1 in the United States. We got big plans for the US for this year, which were put on hold prior to COVID. Prior to COVID, we had some really good plans in place for the US, and then COVID hit and just put everything on hold, and, it was doomsday prepping. I was like, boxing up the windows on the black truck and filling the back canopy with guns like everyone else was, and, metaphorically speaking. Yeah. Ready for the worst. Yeah. So that's the kind of current state of play at Patriot Campers. We are. And then, so what about then you've got like the YouTube channel, which is almost like a separate sort of deal. So we've also got the YouTube channel. So we have Patriot Games. We got there's 2 marketing vessels that we have there. One is Patriot Campers, which has a pretty strong social media presence. We're about 150 odd thousand subs on YouTube, and combined Insta and YouTube, Insta and Facebook, about 250,000. But Patriot Games over the past 12 months, Patriot Games was started for community TV. Yeah, we put on community TV. Then we got picked up by Channel 9. We ran on Channel 9 for 2 seasons. Channel 9 was obviously, it was a very heavy burden on resources, internal resources, and obviously financial commitments shooting for a broadcast TV. And I made the decision that YouTube was a better demo for us, Yeah. So we pulled out of the Channel 9 deal when we came to renew it after that first 2 years. Yeah. And we went straight onto YouTube, and our YouTube channel's been running, I don't think it's 2 years yet. I think it's about 18 months, and we're 140 odd thousand subs. So again, like I'm saying, we've got a good audience, but we're not. There's guys even in our space that are tenfold that. Yeah, but time, bro. But time, exactly. Say in the past 28 days, we've done 10,500 subs. So month on month, it's now. Our YouTube channel is just starting to take off now. It's really just kicking into gear now. Yeah. We've gone to a more YouTube style. So we've gone, the first 2 seasons, Channel 9, we shot very broadcast style, IV reality style, which was, man, it's just not us. Yeah. You know what I mean? When shit happens for us on camera, it's happening, dude.
Yeah.
We don't have time to stop, mic up, reframe, bring in the FS7, hold up a sec. I need that statement again. Can you undo that winch? Like, dude.
Yeah,
like it's happening now, man.
Run and gun.
Yeah, like
otherwise you're taking the fun out of like the experience itself.
And that's exactly it. That was the key to it, because it became, Patriot Games became this like more than a full-time job.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Patriot Campers, like I said, that's paid
what pays the bills.
and that's still where my passion is. More importantly, my passion is still in my factory. It's still with my engineering team, my marketing team, my sales team, my boys and girls, my team on the shop floor. Yeah, that's where my heart is. You know what I mean? I'm the first person in the door there every day, or one of three. Yeah. Either Jack, my engineering manager, Tanya, my business manager, or me, or the first, or Rock, operations manager, are there in the morning. And, mate, million miles an hour there 6 or 7 days a week, whatever. Like it's, people talk about that work-life balance thing. I don't have that. No. I don't know what that is. I honestly don't know what that is. Like, I don't know what the difference is. Work is life. Yeah. Life is work. You know what I mean? It's one and the same. So anyway, getting back to Patriot Games, we really made that push into YouTube style. A lot of selfie stuff has come out this season. So I'm controlling the story. I'm the executive producer of that show, always have been. I'm controlling the storyline, and the big cameras are there to capture, the montages and give it that, that real entertainment, that cinematography value. Yeah. That kind of puts us above, just your general vlogger. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's a really unique mix in our kind of target demo. We shoot completely differently than anybody else shoots. I think anyway. Yeah. That's subjective, obviously. And it's worked. Yeah. Like, it's worked. Because now the kids are coming of age, and, the boys and Mia, we've really protected them on the show for the past 3 seasons. We've only shown what we want to show. They've never been stars. They've never been in directly in front of the camera. They're always there, second tier. Yeah. Now my boys have come of age, they're 17 in 8 weeks. We've started handing the camera over to them, and dude, like, the comments, the storyline now. My daughter actually wrote her first song like 3 months ago, and she played it on last week's episode of Patriot Games. Dude, it's blown up. Like, blown up. She's 13. You know what I mean? It's like, we got all these, social media guys reaching out. They want to get her on a track. We've had a couple of people that have said we want to get her locked down and record, one of those tracks. So, the point is now that the handover is kind of happening. We have the next generation of Patriot Games. Yeah. I can continue doing what I'm doing and appealing to, I suppose, the family. Yeah. But now we've got, these 3 little gangster little kids. Like, my kids are just, they're all-stars, mate. Yeah. And I'm keen to see where they go, if they want it, if they want it. So throughout the rest of this season, you'll start seeing a little bit more of them. And so, yeah, I mean, look, we make the statement a fair bit, We're kind of, first and foremost, we're a manufacturer. I'm a manufacturer, like, through and through. But we've organically become this marketing company that manufactures a product. Yeah. And it's just, man, the position that we're in, could have never dreamed that we would have been here, as quickly as we have. And I think it's because of that you're getting the whole picture with us. You're getting everything with it.
Man, it's funny, like, fuck, there's I'm massive fan, like, huge props. Cheers, for what, like, just to, I purposely never do a bunch of research for these things, because I like to I like to hear it firsthand for the first time. Yeah. Fucking huge fan. Yeah. Like, for what you've done is, like, I know the work that takes. Yeah. And, like, for me to sit here, I cannot fathom how somebody could even give hate towards the success that you've earned, because it's so fucking earned, man. Like, dude, I know exactly what you've put into that.
That's why it hurts so much sometimes. You know what I mean?
But
look, I don't want to. Look, we've kind of, we've steered directly into that path, so early in on this piece. And I knew it'd come up. I don't want that to be. I don't want that to be a focus of, it's. I don't know how we got into that, but we did get into that. But the work that goes in behind the scenes, man, I don't think anybody can understand the sacrifice that my entire family and I mean my wife, who is like, dude, I don't know why she's still with me, to put it. I'll put it to you that way. It's that blunt. Yeah. She is like, man, when people say, like, she's my rock, like, she is my rock. Like, there is absolutely no way that any of this would have happened without her support. And the kids, you know, on the shoots, like, oh, we're going to Cape York, we're going to do the teletrack. Well, we ain't doing that like a normal family does that, dude.
Yeah.
We're doing that in a 7-car convoy with 3 cameramen and working 18-hour days to do that.
Yeah.
We still have fun, but we don't have fun the way that we should have fun, you know?
Yeah.
I put a new cameraman on last season. You know, he came out on his first trip with us and we had to cross the Simpson Desert in like 48 hours. And at the end of it, you know, I brought 3 sandboards with me, you know, for the kids to go sandboarding out in the Simpson Desert. But we had 3 days to get across the desert. You know, if anybody who's listening and watched those episodes, they were pretty hardcore, and the way it's presented is the way it went down. Anyway, the point is, you know, we never got the sandboards off the truck.
Yeah.
And we get out, you know, to our destination, and he goes to me, he's like, dude, like, this was his first shoot with me. He's like, man, it's probably not really my place, but shouldn't we be finding the time for the kids to go and use those sandboards? And it was like, dude, like, hit me like a ton of bricks.
Hey, props to him for saying that.
Oh, props to him for saying that, man. He's one of those really honest guys.
That's fucking cool.
It was fucking cool. And that's, you know,
you can trust pretty much everything that dude says from there on out.
And from there on out, it was like, had a really good relationship with him. You know, he's still working with me. But, you know, it's kind of, you know, we've missed out. There's so many, you know, that Post Malone song, I Wish I Could Have Been There Myself. Do you know that song? I can't think of the actual name of it. Anyway, that song, when I hear that song, it resonates with me. It's about him going to all these places and all these concerts and doing all these things, but he wasn't really there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's been part of the work that's gone into building the business. Yeah. You know, my wife used to drop my kids off to me, you know, when they were 6 years old. She'd drop them off to me on a Friday after school. We'd camp on the floor, or the factory floor, with a bonfire in the middle of the factory, running the laser machines all weekend. This was before Patriot Campers, you know, and this is what led to Patriot Campers. And they camped with me all weekend, and then Sunday night she'd come and pick them up and drive them back down the Gold Coast, man. You know, people don't see that. You know what I mean? Like, that story there, and how the business was built, and all the sacrifices that the family has made to get us to where we are today. This is the shit people just don't think about before they go and run their mouths on social media. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's funny too, like, it seems like you got to a point, and this is just me assuming, but with like the YouTube and stuff like that, you kind of see like, okay, for this to just be as good and as big and as like full as what its potentially like its potential is, I just got to do it. Like, there's just stuff that you just got to do. Man, and the YouTube and all the because I mean, I feel the same way with this in a way. Like, there's a ton of stuff that I just didn't really want to do. But then it's like, well, if you don't want to do that, then this is the box you're going to live in. Yep. But if you can put aside your insecurities, and if you can put aside the fact that you're going to get fucking towed on social media, and if you can put aside all that, maybe you could be great. And it's like, that sort of seems like you just accepted that. And that position. That's
so true. And it's so true to everybody. And, you know, I even say it to my staff, and I say it to my kids, you know, you got to put yourself out there, man. You know, this is the day and age that we live in. You know what I mean? TV commercials are dead, dude. Print magazines are dead. That doesn't matter how good your marketing team is now. You know, if you can't get out there on social media and really engage an audience with...
I was going to say build a community.
Yeah, engage an audience with what you're trying to achieve, whether that's selling something, whether that's your music, whether if you want to be a social media influencer, you got to accept everything that comes with it. You know what I mean? And it's a very, very difficult thing to do, but there is no... Man, I'll go back to the first video that I ever shot. You know what I mean? I watch it now and I'm like, dude, why couldn't you just be yourself? Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't never want to be anyone else on camera. I'm me. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what's worked for us. That's what our audience engages with. It engages with the passion and the speed and the arrogance, and all of that stuff is what our audience is built around. And the more that we give that audience, the more they're engaging with us. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just part and parcel, but part of running a business, growing a business. You got to put yourself out there on so many different levels. Yeah. You really want to go to that party, but you got to get that job done. Well, fuck, man. You want to be successful? I'll tell you what the only choice is. You ain't going to that party, dude. You ain't being hungover on Monday morning. You know what I mean? Like, you can't afford that.
Yeah.
You know, that's what the employees will do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, there is a certain thing, and I mean, fuck, dude, I've worked for myself literally since the day I left school.
Yep.
Like, I just decided I just wasn't gonna get a job.
Yeah, me too.
And I was just a fuck up.
Yep.
Like pretty much until I was like 28, and it's like this has been
that makes two of us.
Well, this has been the only thing that I've really like. I mean, the film thing was fucking insane. Like, I literally traveled the world for 8 years, but it wasn't like a business that I really made work. Like, I was just a gypsy. Like, I just fucking gypsied around the world.
Yep.
And it wasn't until I did this, and then I realized doing this that like, to be quote unquote successful, like there's no real secret to it at all.
Hell no.
There's literally just like, you wake up in the morning and you go, I could do this, and this to make this business better.
Yep.
And then you just don't fucking go home until it's done, or you work until you can't anymore, and then you sleep, and then you get back up and you do it again, and you lose like the concept of Saturday, the concept of Sunday, like all of these concepts that you can attach to like being fucking normal. Yeah, they just got to dissolve,
mate. They're out the door. Look, I reckon the best definition of success I've ever heard. No, I haven't watched this. I think it was Matthew McConaughey done a speech at the Grammys or something, and it was a long time ago. Do you know that speech?
Yeah,
he does this speech about. Fuck, I've got to rewatch this again because I reckon it's one of the best things I've ever heard.
Try pull it up, Ronan, Matthew McConaughey.
See if you can pull it up, man. It's like, I think it was Matthew McConaughey, and he does this speech about success is the person that he wants to be over a period of time. That's his definition of success.
Yeah.
So success is the man that I want to be in 5 years or 10 years or you know, it's something along those lines. I haven't seen this for a long time.
Wait, maybe go that second. Oh, no, that's 40 minutes. That's
speech that broke the internet.
Yeah, go that one, maybe.
Maybe it's that one. Oh, dude, he's like at the Grammys or something. I'm sure it was him.
Fuck, talk about charisma, eh?
Yeah, oh, dude, this guy, wow,
oozes it.
This is my wife's hall pass.
Yeah. Hey, respect.
Yeah, oh, dude, no dramas. I'm not competing with that.
Respect. Is this it or?
I think this is it, bro. I don't know where it is in this 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, people can search that one if they want.
Yeah, search it up. But it talks about success as like, you know, it's the person that he wants to be over a period of time, right?
Yeah.
And I think that'll probably clarify for a lot of people what success really is, because everybody's definition of it is completely different. You know, when you hear the word success, and I think me for a long period of time, I heard the word success, and I thought success is. It's cash, dude. It's money. Yeah. You know, it's a Ferrari. It's a big house. It's all that sort of, dude, it's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Success is, you know, success to me is always, it's about self-satisfaction for no one else but me. Yeah. You know, I could sit here and lie to you and say all the decisions that I make are made, you know, around my family and the well-being of everybody around me and that, but selfishly it's not. You know, what really comes first for me is pushing myself, which naturally brings everybody along with me. To complete a task, any task that may be, that I see is needed to push our business further. Yeah. So whether that's a marketing objective, whether that's a new product, whether that's a model release, and sometimes, you know, not very often, but sometimes that's the detriment of our success as well. Sometimes we do, you know, the business does push too hard, but the culture I've created at Patriot Campers now. They can't blame me for it anymore. It's everybody who's there.
It's like it's got its own thing
dude,
now,
it's just like this. It's just this thing now. When someone comes up with an idea that resonates in a management meeting, dude, I take a back seat now. Yeah. Like it is on, you know?
Sick.
And that's where Patriot Campers is going to be heading into the future. You know, the future of Patriot Campers now, it's too big for me. It's too big for one person. I cannot do it on my own. It's just impossible. But I've got this crew of people there that, you know, they're just amazing people. And that's what's going to be the success of the business moving forward, you know?
So how much do you reckon you have personally changed and grown in the journey? Because, like, I mean, yeah, for myself, like even just for the few years I've been doing this, like this has been there's like such a crazy forced accountability in this because like I have to sit in this fucking chair and like be a good humble person to like let people tell their stories and to you know, like then anything I say is on record. Hundreds of thousands of people hear it. If I have an idea, if I like, there is such this crazy forced accountability that I've kind of taken on in this role. And like,
I never considered that, but
it's been the most fucking amazing thing personally for me. I feel like I've improved as a person just through like I've been forced to. And I think that anyone that has got to the level that you've got to with business, like you would have changed so fucking much.
I'm
and like,
not even close to the person I was.
Painful. It would have been painful.
Not even in the ballpark. I'm not even. There's not even. I don't think there's a resemblance of Justin 5, 10, or 15 years ago in the person that I am. That's how I feel. Right?
Yeah. I'd believe it, man.
People around me will probably tell you different, man. I was like, dude, in my I left school at grade 10. I was a fuck up at school as well, man. School wasn't for me. I was smart at school. You know, like if I needed to do something at school, man, I was always really smart at school, but I wasn't engaged with school.
Yeah.
Like the rules don't apply to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the way I'm wired, man. The rules just do not apply to me. I am the guy that will go through the orange light. You know what I mean? I will always push that boundary, and that was my problem with school.
Where did that come from, though?
Oh, dude, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think, you know, my parents are a massive, massive influence on me, and they have been my whole life. You know, my mum is like the strongest woman. She's the only person I've ever met in my life that scares me. Put it that way. My mum still scares me. I just turned 40, and my mum scares the shit out of me. My mum is very, very, very intelligent. Super intelligent, super driven, you know, very powerful woman. And my old man is, you know, he's your classic entrepreneur. You know what I mean? He is the guy that always looked at everything kind of left field and thought, I could do that a little bit better. Yeah. So I think that was obviously a lot of that drive. But you know, when I was younger, man, I left school and I got kicked out of 2 high schools, and then I went to TAFE and I'd done a waiter's course at TAFE just because my mates were doing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And my old man was always in metalwork. He was always in sheet metal. You know, he was in and I hated factories. I didn't want to be in a factory. I don't like the dirt. I don't like grinding. I don't like the noise. And then I took off and went overseas for 6 months. That wasn't a big stint. You know,
Where'd you go?
Oh, man, I travelled all around Europe. I spent a lot of time in Greece and England. But like I said, it was only 6 months. So when I say a lot of time, I kind of hopped around a month here, a month there. And, you know, wherever we could afford to go, me and my sister just jumped on a plane and we went. And then I got back from that trip and I just needed a job, right? I needed money. I needed income. Rang up my old man. I said, Dad, you know, just as that had happened, my parents had separated, you know, they lost everything, ended up, you know, that's a whole nother story for another day. And my dad had just started up this new sheet metal business, and he had 1 employee. He had all this old janky shit equipment, knuckle stop presses and this old plasma cutter, and it was just, man, it was like bad. You know, he's gonna hate me for saying that. And I rang up Dad and I'm like, Dad, I need a job, right? Just give me a job. I need to come there until I figure out what I'm gonna do. I'm like 18 at this time. My brother's off in the United States. You know, he's living in California. He got poached by Subaru. He's building drag cars over there. He's living just out of Hollywood. He's living the life. I'm the next kid coming up. I'm 125 kilo, fat, just not in a good place. You know what I mean? And when I got this job with Dad, and, you know, a couple of months after I started with him, Dad's like, look, there's a trade show on down in Sydney. Do you want to come down to Sydney to this trade show with me and have a look at these machines? It was a machinery expo. Yeah. It's called Oztech. I'm like, day out of the office? Fuck yeah, I'll go. Yeah. If I don't have to be here for the day, I'll come with you, Dad. Went down, I had to wear a suit. So I don't even know where I got the suit from. Anyway, we've flown down there, we've walked in the door, and there's all this CNC equipment, $1 million machines, $2 million machines, fully automated, guys throwing CAD models around, sheet metal in CAD. And I will never, ever forget. I'll never forget walking into that show. I'll never forget that for as long as I live. I've walked into the show, and it was no shit. It was like something out of Looney Tunes, dude. Just this massive ding, like this light bulb just went fucking boom. What the fuck is this? This is how you can manufacture stuff with equipment. And I just fell in love with the equipment.
Yeah.
Didn't know what for or what to do with it. I've just fallen in love with this equipment. And anyway, we're down there for 2 days, and on the plane on the way home, I've got all the brochures for all this, you know, and there was this Trump laser machine, which is the Mercedes-Benz of lasers, $1.5 million. Dad, keep in mind my old man's running equipment that's worth 5 or 10 grand, right?
Yeah, right.
And I'm sitting on the plane with Dad, and I'm like, Dad, we need one. We've got to get one. And Dad goes, what for? I'm like, I don't know what for, but we need one. And my old man, this was his words to me. He goes, if you work hard over the next 12 months and you aim to get one of those machines, we will come down here next year and we'll buy one.
Fuck,
and
sick.
Keep in mind, my old man is just coming out of recovery of a pretty gnarly divorce.
Yeah.
Didn't have 2 cents to rub together. Was driving my brother's car. You know what I mean? For him to make that statement for me, and this is the entrepreneur side of my old man. And that's shit. That was just like a click. You know, back to the conversation we just had. That is what my dad is like, you know. 12 months later, we flew down. Then we wrote a check for $1.5 million and we bought a machine.
Wow.
And it was just like, we got the machine installed, turned the machine on, you know, like a couple of months later, machine got installed. We turned the thing on and it was like, right, what do we do with it? I don't know what, we had no work for it. We had no use for it. We had this piece of equipment that the lease was like 20 grand a month.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how we swindled it. I still don't know how we got the money from the bank. We sold a pretty good story, and that night I was playing around with that machine, and I ended up, the guy that we bought it from, who was back in Melbourne at that time, after he commissioned it, they hand over the machine. They say, right, that's yours, we're going. They've jumped on a plane, they've left, and I've gone home. And I've gone in later on that night, I'm like, I just want to play with it. I couldn't turn the machine on. And I remember I was sitting beside that machine and I was literally in tears. I was crying.
Wow.
I'm like, I've just fucked my dad's life. I don't know how to run this thing. I don't know how to use it. I don't know where we're going to get the work from for it. Come in the next morning, shirt and tie on, in the ute, just start knocking on doors, dude. We got this laser machine. And back then, people were like, well, yeah, you know. We ended up finding the work for it, and then we ended up, you know, me and my old man built this business. Then my brothers come on board, my sister come on board, and they've turned it into, and that business is still operating, still running.
So that's the one that's up in...
No, that's the family business. So I left that about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And went out and did my own thing when I had my kids.
Yeah.
And that was that was the light bulb moment that got me into where I am today.
Yeah.
You know, but getting back to where that story kind of come from, you know, at that stage there, I was young. I didn't really understand what the money was all about. I didn't understand the finance. You know, I was just not in a good place in my life. But something clicked that day when I walked into that show, and I don't know whether it's in the blood. You know, it's just part of, you know, me coming into that manufacturing. That finally, after 18 years, I kind of understood what my dad did, and I saw the path that I had to take. You know what I mean? I just knew that was me. That's what I had to do. And that was the start of everything that landed us to Patriot Campers today. But we have so many stories like that along the way. There's so many stories that are like that along the way that, you know, and the change in me from, you know, I really think from that day forward was really what's turned me into, you know, kind of who I am today.
Yeah, because it's like it is a crucible being in business. Like you
crucible,
like it's like this fucking fiery pit, and it's like this battleground that you go into, and it has a way of just like you either get beaten into submission and then you leave with your tail between your legs, or you fucking pull out the sword. And it sounds dramatic, but it kind of is like that, because
so many more people fail than succeed.
Yeah,
that's the sad part about it. I don't know what the separation is. You know, do they just start off with the wrong dream? Do they not really know what they're getting themselves into? Do they not have the stamina, you know, to persevere through it? Because it gets back to like what we said before, you know, if you're in that crucible, right, and you want to go home at 4 o'clock, you're going to burn to death.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't going home at 4 o'clock. You know, you know.
I think it plays on, it's got a way of like, I guess, maybe it's not even just business. It's like any goal that seems way bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
It's got a way of just like holding up a mirror to all of your insecurities.
Yeah.
And they're like these roadblocks in the way.
Yeah.
And it's like you need to face those insecurities. You need to face those sort of demons in yourself, the self-doubt. Like, man, to sit and cry next to a machine that you've just spent.
Tears.
Like I can relate to that on like, you know,
man.
different senses of, you know, like I bought the first camera that I was fucking 17 or 18 and I got a credit card and I maxed out the credit card and then mum put the rest of the money on her credit card for my first camera. Yeah. I had no fucking idea how to use it. I still have the tripods in the other room.
No shit.
I bought it in 07, still have the fucking thing.
Still got it.
And I remember the week I got my first gig that weekend, which is why I pulled the trigger on it, to sold the dream. Yep. Of like, oh, I can film, I got this, I got that.
Yep.
And then I went riding, broke my fucking collarbone in a million pieces.
What, before the shoot?
2 days before. Awesome. I had to fly to Melbourne to do this shoot. Yep. So then I fucking put on my backpack with a broken collarbone, loaded to the gills, and I went around this motocross track for 2 days with a broken collarbone. I did my video, but man, it was that same moment. Like, I'm sitting on this fucking plane with a broken collarbone, a maxed out credit card, maxed out my mum's credit card to buy this fucking camera that I didn't know how to use. Yeah. Like, that is if you want to be successful, if you want to do something in that kind of lane, like, fuck, that's the shit you got to face. Like,
there's just no barriers, dude.
No.
There's no, man, like, it's like I've got so many stories like that, dude. There's so many stories about, you know, what led to where Patriot Campers is that is based off the back of exactly what you just said. There just can't be any boundaries, you know what I mean? And I think business is completely excluded from that as well. I mean, it doesn't, anything that you want to do in your life.
Yeah.
Anything that you wanted, man, I used to do, I haven't done it for a long time, but I can remember, you know, when I was younger, if I wanted something, man, and actually I got this from my old man as well. Shit, maybe he has influenced me and my mum has influenced me more than I think. My old man used to do this thing, right? If he wanted something, he'd cut a picture out of a magazine and he'd stick it on the wall of his office. Yeah. I remember he had a SL 500 in about, it would have been like 94. Yeah. Remember when SLs, like drop top SL 500s and then 600s were just like, dude. Yeah. How old are you?
32.
Yeah, all right. So
I think I'm 33 this year.
Yeah, so you're a little bit younger than me.
Google that SL. We'll get an image.
Oh, dude, and he had this
SL 550,
SL 500, like a drop top SL 500. He had this white one with
get images of that shit.
That's a new one. Punch it there. You see that silver one on the right in the image search? That was about the era. So this is about the era. That's it there, dude. Sick. And they were just like, man. And that's, look, out my love of cars and all of my brother's love of cars definitely comes from my dad. But he used to do this thing where he used to cut these things out of magazines and he'd stick them on the wall beside his light switch in his office. Yeah. Now, my old man he never got there, right? Growing up, we were pretty well off growing up, right? We never had disposable cash though, right? We always, my parents were really, really good at assets, right? We always had really good factories. We had good equipment. We had nice homes, but never had toys. My dad never had toys. You know, he was always, you know, always.
Is your dad still around?
Yeah, man. Yeah. My old man is like, he was my best man at my wedding.
Yes.
He's like my best friend. He's in the show. He's in Patriot Games. Yeah. He's in every episode of Patriot Games.
That's sick.
So yeah, he's still around. He lives just down the road, but he never really had toys. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably, you know, on the flip side of that, they say the next generation, you know, they learn from the earlier generation. That's where my love of toys, I think, comes from, because I got more toys than most people I know, right?
He who dies with the most toys wins.
That's my motto, dude. My staff will tell you that, you know. Man, if I really want something, there's no two ways about it. At some stage, I'll get it, right? That's kind of how it works. And my wife is all for it because that's me. As long as I'm entertained, she's happy, right? Because she don't like running at the pace I run at on the weekends, right? Yeah. So where was I going with that? He puts the pictures up on the wall, and I reckon when I was about 16, I started doing that, and up until about, I don't know, maybe only a couple of years ago, I stopped doing that, right? Because what it kind of did for me is it gave me the aspiration, and again, look, this gets back to exactly what we're talking about outside of the realms of just business, right? Or, you know, setting yourself goals. I'll put these pictures up on my wall, and either two things that happen, right? Either end up with that thing that was on the picture, or over a period of time, I'd be like, no, that's not the direction I want to head. Yeah. That's not what I really want. Yeah. And I'll pull that thing down. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was just this, I don't know, it was like this Jedi mind trick I used to play with myself. Yeah. Do you really want it? If you really want it, then eventually I'll end up with it. If I don't want it, then I don't, and the picture comes down off the wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, it's funny that whole. I honestly think that everybody in life, wherever they are right now, you want to be there, and I think that because you do get what you want. And I look at my time in America, and I had I wanted to be a director, and I wanted to write movies, and that's what I wanted to do. But I didn't want it.
Yeah,
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I wanted to come back home because I ended up back home. My fucking visa shit the bed, and
well, that comes back to the success thing, then, doesn't it? You know, the person that you want to be over a period of time. It's, I mean, that's where that starts resonating. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah,
I think that that statement is you are where you are because that's where you want to be.
Yes,
you know what I mean. And if you're not there, well, then you're not successful.
Yeah, and I think that you need to. It's cool the way that you said that you'd put that there and you'd take it off if you realised that you didn't want it. Because I don't think people in general are as in tune with what they want as they think they are.
Hell no. Yeah, agree. 100% agree. Yeah, definitely. There's me as well. You know what I mean? Me and I think... generally, I think that's a really, really broad statement that applies to everybody, eh?
And what do you think, though, is something that helps you identify what you want?
Oh,
because that's kind of like the $1 million question, right?
I change my mind a lot, eh? I really do. I'm very indecisive about directions that I want to take, and that comes with, I suppose, the pace that we run at, the pace that I run at, and the expectation that I have of people around me. You know, we say we're gonna go down one path and we're gonna take one direction, but the goalposts and having the ability to be able to analyse the situation and move the goalposts.
Yeah,
I think that's a major bonus trade, eh? You know. A lot of people will see that in me, and especially my staff that I'm always moving the direction on. A lot of people will see that as a detriment to my personality, right? I completely disagree, right? Obviously, I disagree because it's the way I am.
Yeah.
If we're on a trajectory to do something or achieve something, and we can really analyse that situation and be able to have the flexibility in our business to move direction as we see fit, well, that gives us a lot more opportunity to be successful with the end outcome.
Yeah.
You know, we can never really set the sails north and go north, mate. COVID.
Yeah.
There's the typical example.
Yeah.
You know, there's the perfect example. We made so many fucking good decisions during COVID, man.
Yeah, right.
As a business, as a collaborative team, we made so many good decisions that ensured the success of the business coming out the backside.
Yeah. And
now the position that we're in, you know, the patriotism surrounding our market here in Australia and overseas, man, anybody in the 4x4 industry right now is sitting in the box seat, eh?
Yeah.
And I don't think this is going away for a while. I think this is gonna hang around for a while. Like.
I think you're extremely correct.
You know, I just don't see it changing.
So how do you then? So you're in the position where you've just identified that it's a very positive thing to be able to pivot quickly.
Yeah, be flexible. Yeah.
But how do you manage getting bigger? Because there's a certain point where size restricts that kind of movement. So is that something that as a businessman you try and be cautious of?
Dude, and that's one of the biggest things that's, going back to my personality, that's one of the biggest things that have changed me. There's so many cogs to turn now to change anything at Patriot Campers. Yeah. Right? So that really early flexibility, let's say we go back to the days where we were 5 or 10 or 15 staff. Yeah. I knew everybody not everybody by name, because actually now I don't know a lot of my guys by name. And I'm useless with names too. But I knew all the skill sets of everybody on the shop floor, right? I knew the capabilities and capacities of our equipment. I've got a 7 sense when it comes to my workshop. I can take a lap around my workshop and I can tell you exactly what's wrong, what's going, just by looking at it. I don't need to see numbers, right? That comes with manufacturing being in the blood and obviously being the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
I need the overview of everything that's going on. So we used to be able to make these really quick, agile decisions, making a change without documentation, without considering warranty, without looking at the quality system, without bringing safety aspect into it, without, HR or any of those types of things, because it was tribal knowledge in our business.
Yeah.
Because everybody had that direct input to Justin. You know what I mean? And I had 400 balls up in the air, and I'll never drop one of them, you know. As the company grows and the systems get more complex and the process gets more complex, because it has to, it's a requirement of a growing business. There is no other way of doing it. You can't rely on tribal knowledge anymore. You hit that point where tribal knowledge it's not worth anything, right? And it's very hard to take that as a business owner, because you know that you can jump in there and you can make that change and you can make that happen, right? But when there's 5,000 changes going on at one time, well, that's where the impossibility comes into it. You can't do it. You've got to rely on your people. You've got to rely on the processes to be able to make those changes. And fundamentally, what that does is it slows our innovation down. And it starts suppressing and chokeholding the innovation in the business, because the ability to make a small change turns from a 1 hour process into a 3 month process, because it has to follow all the way through that chain. And that's been something very hard for us to deal with in the business, because we have been so well known as being innovative. And we have been first to market on every product that we've created. There's nothing that Patriot Campers has ever done, ever, and this is a big statement, but there's nothing we've ever done that was a competitive product to anybody else in the market. We've always gone into market sectors that didn't exist, you know. Right. From the camper trailers, you know, when we built the first camper trailer 7 years ago, there was nothing that resembled a Patriot camper anywhere in the world.
Really?
Really. Like, there was nothing that resembled a Patriot camper.
And so where did that inspiration come from in you? Well,
that inspiration for the first design was, we were avid campers. So my boys were, when we built the first camper trailer, the boys were about 8 years old and me was about 5 years old. And that's what we did every weekend. We went camping. And we bought from your $2,000 shitbox trailers, because that's all we could afford at that time, up to the last camper trailer that we bought was about 70 odd grand. Couldn't afford it. I've got a real hardcore motto, and I've had it my whole life. We do not finance toys. If we can't afford it, we don't buy it. We actually finance this camper trailer. It was something that would enrich my family time. It's something that would have made camping easier for us, and we could use it as a family. And it was, to me, it was an asset. You know what I mean? It wasn't a toy. This was our life. This is what we were doing every weekend, and that still resonates with me today with my customers. But we bought this camper trailer, and it was just like, man, we took it out the first trip, and me and Sarah were just fighting about it. It was too heavy. We got bogged on a beach one night going to Australia on our own, and we landed there at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and we spent the night there on the beach with 3 young kids. Bogged up to the eyeballs, water lapping at, you know, my Hilux and the camper trailer, and we almost lost the whole program. And 5:30 in the morning, these fishermen come through and seen us on the beach and towed us off the beach, and we ended up going home. And we just had so many bad experiences with this camper trailer, you know. And it was Christmas 2013 it was, and we still had this camper trailer, and we were out on a trip, and I was sitting, and it was literally, the story is this, right? And our fans, people who know Patriot Campers, will know this story. But we were sitting around a campfire back on Stradbroke Island, and I was sitting there with Matty, my best mate, a couple of my brothers and that, and we were literally sitting around a fire, we're having beers. And I got a stick and started sketching, like, in the sand beside the campfire. Dude, what do you think if we built a camper trailer like this? Just the outline. What if it had this, and what if it had that? What if it was shorter? What if it was more compact? What if it was lighter? What if you could tow it fucking anywhere? You know what I mean? And we started having these, you know, these conversations, and it was literally, we got back straight after Christmas, and I was like, you know that skit with Mr. Burns, the aviator scene, where he locks himself in that room?
Yeah.
That was me for like 6 weeks, man.
Really?
Nobody would come anywhere near me. Didn't go home. Slept at the office 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. My whole office just scattered in samples of stoves and electrical. I knew nothing about building a camper trailer. I was a laser cutter then. I was obviously sheet metal, you know, and we were building electrical switchboards. So I used all of the design technique that I knew from switchboards. Anyway, I designed this camper trailer, and I had the design finished, and I printed it all out, proud as punch. You know, it's in this laminated folder, and I'm like, we're going to dinner with all of our friends at my brother-in-law's restaurant down in Robina. So I turn up there, I'm like, babe, it's finished, it's done, here's the fucking design. Sit down with all my friends, start going through the pages, and there was like 10 people at the table, and everyone's looking at me like, has this motherfucker lost his mind?
He has gone off.
He's lost his mind. That's what everybody was looking at me, you know, and it was, and I felt that, and I felt all my friends looking at me like, don't get me wrong, everybody put on like, yeah, dude, good on you, but looking at me like, are you for? And I'm like, man, I'm going to build a camper trailer, and everybody started, you know, looking at me weird. Anyway, we're in 2014 by then. You know, we're like January 2014. So anyway, whatever. Like typical me. Whatever, dude. I'm going to build the camper trailer anyway. We started building this camper trailer in like February. We built the chassis, built the box set, and then my business got really, really busy. Yeah. So we parked it down the back. Comes June that year, I'm like, right, pull that trailer out. We'll finish it off. We finish it. The powder coater comes up to me, you know, and he goes, man, what colour do you want me? One of my stuff. What colour do you want me to paint it? I said, mate, what colour have we got the most of? What's excess? Because I don't want to waste any money. Yeah. He goes, oh, we got this green down the back that we were using for Energex or whatever. I said, yeah, man, just paint it in that, which is now the company colour. Fuck. It's what Patriot Campers is famous for. Is this colour? And so we finished it. We finished the camper trailer, and it's like July by then. It's my birthday weekend. We go back to Stradbroke Island because we're there every weekend. So we're driving in the dark, 4 a.m, going to the ferry. We get onto the ferry. I'll grab the kids. We go upstairs on the ferry to grab breakfast, yeah? Up there having breakfast, come down. Sun's just coming up, and there is like 20 or 30 people on the barge just surrounding my camper trailer. There's guys underneath it crawling. It had no name, no logos, no stickers. No, it was just a camper trailer I built for me and my kids, you know? And all these people are looking at it, and they were like, what is this? I'm like, oh, man, it's just a camper trailer I built. And I'm like, and that's what I'm like, dude, I'm onto something here, eh?
So you didn't have any, like, commercial ideas until it was done and you're on that fucking boat?
Till it was done, till it was finished.
The market decides. The
market decides. We get back, like 3 weeks later, Camper Trailer Australia magazine ring the office at Express Metal Products. Somebody from that trip at Stradbroke sent the photos in to Camper Trailer Australia. They've traced it back to me somehow. Rang my office, said, tell us about this camper trailer. Told them about it, sent it some new photos. I said, look, we want to come up and do a review on it. Come up with a name for it.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. What's going on here? Look, we really do have something here, yeah? So they've come up, they've done the review on it. In the meantime, me and Sarah, every night on the couch, A4 piece of paper, writing down all of these names. We had like fool's cap book filled with names. And me and Sarah were sitting on the couch one night in between, and we're like, I don't know who said it. We don't argue about it. We agree that it was both of us. Somebody said it, and it was just like high five. That's it, Patriot Campers. That's the name. The patriotism comes from our patriotism surrounding Australian manufacturing. People think that we picked that because of the US market. You got to go back to where we were at that stage. We weren't smart enough to be thinking about the US market.
I was going to say, like, that's the happiest accident because like Patriot in America is like fucking bang.
Oh, that's
that.
Man,
like,
that's
you could not have nailed it.
Couldn't have got a better.
But there's no way you've got that foresight.
We didn't have that foresight. Then. We didn't even know we had a product for the Australian market. It was the Patriot Campers came wholly and solely for the patriotism around Australian manufacturing, which I've been beaten into my head since I was born, since birth. I am the guy that will go to Harvey Norman and say, show me the Australian-made fridges. I'm that guy. You know what I mean? I am the guy that will go to the supermarket with my wife and I will literally look through the rice packets and go, made in Australia, put that in the trolley. Like, I wear it on my sleeve. I'm an advocate for it. I don't know any better. I'm not an intellect. My kids are not intellects. We're hands-on. We need that industry. Anyway, that's probably another story too. So we come up with this. We come up with the name. They come up. They do the review on the camper trailer. And then after they did the review, they put it in the magazine. They're like, do you want to bring this thing to Camper Trailer of the Year competition?
Fuck off.
I'm like, huh? And they're like, yeah, bring it to the Camper Trailer of the Year competition. It's going on in September, October. And we're like, hell yeah, we'll bring it to the competition. And that's in that transition period from the magazine calling us to going to Camper Trailer of the Year, that's where the commercial vision for Patriot Campers started. Prior to that, so call it luck, call it a fluke, I don't care. Yeah, we still did it. We built it. We put everything that we had into it. I sacrificed, my wife sacrificed everything that we had just to build a product that would enrich our lives. You know what I mean? For us only, and not for the commercial aspect of the business. We go to Camper Trailer of the Year that year and we win it. Australian Camper Trailer of the Year. And it was just like, dude, it's on.
That is insane, man.
That's the story. We've won it 7 times, 7 years now. We've won it. You know,
wow.
The business is 8 years old. You know, so we keep innovating, we keep reinventing the wheel, we keep going back, and we keep building these products that are surrounding it, and that's what we do. We're a lifestyle brand, man. We enrich people's lives. That's what we do, and that's where, you know, that's where the passion comes from, man. And that's the passion inside of Patriot Campers. That is the yelling and screaming that happens at Patriot Campers, you know, probably more frequently than I'd like, because it is
out of passion.
It's personal, man.
Yeah.
Like I've been there. I've been that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I still am that guy. Everything I do surrounding my family. Everything. There's nothing I do that my kids aren't there. Nothing. From the launch into the United States, my boys come with me. You know what I mean? At 9 years old or 10 years old, I chucked them on a plane and we sent 3 camper trailers over to America, and we toured America for 4 weeks, not knowing what the fuck we were doing. But we just wanted our camper trailers to be available to the American market.
Yeah.
You know, so it does gets, and again, going all the way back to when we first sat down, that's where it gets so personal from. We've been there, we were those people, we still are those people, and we still do genuinely care about every customer that makes a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 investment into a freaking trailer.
Yeah.
You know, because we do believe that it does what we tell people it does. You know?
Fuck, man. Hats off to you.
Yeah, cheers, bro.
Honestly, like I didn't understand the depths of the backstory, and I'm so glad I just got to hear it firsthand. I didn't look too much into it before you come on.
Yeah, that's how it happened, dude.
What a fucking journey, dude.
That's where it all went down, man. And there's, like I said, man, there's been so many stories like that.
Yeah.
That are not, those stories are not created for anybody else. And at the time, the intention is not for anybody else. It wasn't for social media. You know what I mean? It wasn't for pats on the back. It wasn't for, you know, people to go, oh, you know, good on you guys. We don't work for that. We never have. The business never did back then, and it sure as shit doesn't do that now. You know what I mean? We don't look at, you know, probably at our detriment, we don't look at commercial viability as the first port of call when we're designing a new product.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we do that way down the chain.
Well, from the very onset, like the way that the first trailer was born, it was not commercially.
It's still the same.
Yeah.
It's still the same. The advantage is now we have market knowledge, we have market share, we have distribution. I mean, look, we make calculated decisions. It's the business is too fragile now. We can't not. But it's never the driving force for a new product. Like when we built the P-Core trays, the first P-Core trays, you know, nobody was building sheet metal trays to that extent in Australia. No one was doing it. Now it's just so common. It's a commodity item for a truck now.
Yeah.
No one buys, you know, like a flat deck, like OE installed dealership tray anymore. They go to us or any one of our competitors, and there is some good shit coming out of Australia.
Yeah.
Some amazing stuff coming out of Australia on the camper trailer front and the back of ute stuff. But you know, we've always pioneered those markets. We've always looked at things from, all right, what it used to be, what do I want? Now it's collaboratively, what do we want?
Yeah.
What is the engineering team at the business, man? That's all they do is forward driving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's, you know, it's very, very collaborative now.
So how much is the Made in Australia thing? Like, is there a lot of the Australian industry that is made in Australia? Like where are we at in terms of that?
Oh, dude,
is that something that we should strive to kind of work towards?
It is. Look, it's so sad what's happening to Australian manufacturing, and especially over the past 5 to 10 years. We don't have an automotive manufacturer in the country anymore. I was down in Adelaide last week. Went to Redmark and raced the Dinghy Derby last week. And, mate, we were driving through real industrial part of Adelaide, man. You can see all the old foundries, all the old factories that were all there to support the automotive industry. And you got it. Me and my dad was sitting in the passenger seat with me when we were driving through there on the way back to the airport. And, dude, it's so sad to think about the domino effect of manufacturing shutdowns here in Australia. You think about automotive manufacturing, you think about Mitsubishi, Chrysler, Ford, Holden. Like, fuck, man, Holden. Holden's gone. You can't buy a HSV anymore. Like, huh? But you think about it, it's not specifically the big corporate manufacturer that is sad to me or concerns me. It's the flow-on effect of the supply chain. You know, it's the guys that were making the wheels. It's the guys that were making control arms. It's the guys that were machining, you know, tie rod ends. It's the rubber supplier. It's the glass supplier, and all of those businesses that support the production of a vehicle. There's thousands of them. tens of thousands of them. And industry's gone, trade's lost. And I think most importantly, it's the skills lost in the country. Not everybody is going to be a lawyer or a doctor, man.
Yeah.
Like, you got to come to terms with that. I went to my kids, my kids are in senior school now. I had an information night there at the school 2 days ago. All they talked about, all they spoke about for an hour was the ATAR. That's it. That's all they spoke about was how do we get these kids to university?
Yeah.
How do we get them the grades they need to go to university to get a university education? And I'm sitting up the back of the room, feel like putting my hand up and say, hey, what about the kids that don't want to go to university? What about the kids that aren't going to go to university or don't have the intellectual acumen to be able to get into a university?
Because
what are you doing for them?
It's about being good at tests. There's smart motherfuckers that can't do a test. Matty, dude,
Yep.
Matty, when he first started this business, could barely type a fucking email. He's a smart motherfucker that makes smart fucking moves.
Yeah.
And he could barely type an email when he started. He could never have gone to university to do sports marketing and all the business stuff that he does extremely successfully.
Oh, my man's dyslexic, like full-blown dyslexic, cannot read or write. Yeah. If I gave you something my dad had written, there is no way you'd be able to interpret it. The only people who can are the people that I've been brought up with it, right? Yeah. Smartest dude I know. Yeah. My mum, on the flip side, very intellectually intelligent, like super intelligent. MBA, she's now the chairman of the CPA Australia. Yeah, you know, right. she's up there, smart. But you know, that having that balance for these, you know, for these kids, and I look at it at Patriot Campers every day. I've been pushing one of the big things that we are going to do at Patriot Campers. We've been talking about for far too long. I want to put in one of the best trainee apprenticeship schemes that this country has ever seen, because there is nothing automotive anymore. There's nothing specific in the RV industry for a trade. We've been talking with TAFE Queensland for a while now. We haven't had the resources to have the ability to do it, but now we do, and our HR department is focused on bringing kids out of school and giving them a future based off the back of a trade. Yeah, you know what I mean? One of the most alarming things for me when I lived in the US was that whole college thing. Yeah.
In America, like that culture of just pushing for university, like their country isn't great when it comes to trades. It is not to be an electrician, to be a chippy, to be any of those trades is not a sexy thing to do. And that's like a cultural movement that started in schools. And these kids were only put I would get it when I'd like date chicks or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, what'd you study at college?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't go." And it instantly was like a massive red flag. I'm like, well, I kind of do this other shit.
You should have just lied about it. You know, say you used to ride your kangaroo over to college or whatever.
Oh,
you know?
Dude. But that it's a problem in their society now. And you go over there, every construction site is Mexican workers. Every mechanic shop is all Mexican workers. Like, they don't have a healthy trade-based industrial working class in America anymore. And it's become like a big problem for their country in general. Well, if
we don't concentrate on it, it's going to be a big problem here too, dude.
100%.
The flip side here, though, and I mean, look, I've got, you know, like I said, my twin boys, they're 17 in 8 weeks, so I've got this really good insight into where that age of culture really is. It is cool in Australia right now to be a tradie. It is cool. My kids rock high-vis on the weekends, and so do all of their mates.
That's it.
They watch all the tradie shit, and my kids go to the servo now and buy meat pies because it's cool to be seen eating a meat pie because you look like a tradie dude. That's legit. You know what I mean? And I've watched this evolution of that happen over the past kind of 6 to 12 months where it's really kind of taken off. And you watch the young social media influencers like in our kind of demographic, which is your 4x4 GU patrol driving kind of, mate, that's the image. The image is trade. You know? And I think, look, personally, from what I've seen anyway, don't get me wrong, I'm not educated on this subject. This is my opinion and what I see firsthand. And on the flip side, my kids go to, I think, and I won't say which school they go to for obvious reasons, but they go to one of the best schools that I've ever seen or heard of, right? So the school does an amazing job. But what kind of really pissed me off when I went to this information night the other night is there was no mention of the kids that aren't going to go to university. One of my boys wants to go to university. The other one of my boys, flat out, he's considering going to trade college like now. You know what I mean? Because he knows he's not going to go to uni. You know, like I knew I was not going to go to uni. So how do we resource these kids to be able to achieve a skill set or a trade outside of pushing them to go into university, when you know that there's a vast majority of them that don't want to go to uni, or they're going to fail?
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I wish I knew when I was young, and it would relate back to getting a trade or the university or whatever, I always had this like real negative outlook on discipline. I've equated discipline as like prison.
Yep.
And I sort of did everything I could. My idea of freedom was to avoid discipline.
Yep.
And now that I've learned and I've grown and I've changed, discipline is what gives you freedom.
100%.
And I think that I wish I knew that. And just the fact of finishing a trade and the discipline that it takes to finish a trade, whether you do it forever or not, man, there's just so much freedom in that. Like, here's this 4-year block of my life where all I got to do is just get paid to learn as much shit as I can.
And just get through it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, and that's, mate, I couldn't agree with you more, because I did it too. You know, after I'd done that stint at that waiter course or whatever, I went and entered into an apprenticeship for a chef. And I ran that for 2 years. I did it for 2 years. And I was only like 12 months out of the qualification, but I knew that life wasn't for me.
Yeah.
That every Friday night, every Saturday night, and not for the reason of, you know, because I couldn't do that. I would never do that for somebody else. You know what I mean? I would do that for me. I would never do that for anybody else. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but the discipline factor is, you know, man, I am considered so strict on my kids, and I am so strict on my kids, but I do it for a reason. There are rules in life. There are rules that you cannot avoid, and the rules are put in place for the organisation. You know, the country that we live in. You know, even, man, you hear people, you know, jamming on cops all the time or ragging on cops all the time. Dude, at the end of the day, and I don't want to get into that debate, but, man, there's a reason why we live in the country that we live in. There's a reason that my daughter can walk to the shops at 10 o'clock at night, man, and we don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? The discipline comes with playing by the rules, you know? I took my kids out racing. You know, we're obviously into racing. I got the trophy truck, and the kids got the Polaris Razor, and, man, we put it in the episode. My kids turned up late to the start gate, right? They got a 4-minute penalty, and the boys are kind of like, oh, they shouldn't give us a penalty. What do you mean they shouldn't give you a penalty? Cop it on the chin, dude. They were in second place. They ruined their whole weekend. But having those boundaries, those guidelines for those guys, for everything that they're going to do in life, you got to play by the rules, man. It's just the way the world is. The world has to function with that organisation. Man,
and especially like I could see it being a challenge or a thing that you've thought a lot about. Like, your kids have grown up now rich, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of fucking privilege that comes with growing up rich and having a baller dad that's got this big ass personality, does what the fuck he wants. Yeah. That's going to be hard for kids. Oh, if you're like, you have to be strict on those kids, unfortunately.
That's scary, man. Look, my personality scares the shit out of me when it comes to my kids, because my kids having the ability to, I suppose, walk in my shoes or fill my shoes. And I ain't saying that with arrogance. I'm saying that with nothing but love. It's going to be tough for them, and it's already becoming tough for them. You know what I mean? They've already made the decision. The boys have both made the decision that they don't want to come into Patriot Campers. Obviously, I hope that changes, and whichever way they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, they don't know what they want at 17.
At 17, they don't know, but I think the point is, at 16, they've already made that decision that they want to plant their own flag. Yeah, they want to do their own thing. I think they definitely idolise me, and they definitely are proud of what I've achieved. But the boys, and where Sarah and I have made and some amazing decisions, and I think where I know we've succeeded is off the back of some of those statements with the kids that they want to do their own thing. Man, I just help my son out. My kids have been working in the factory since they were about 12 years old, every school holidays, not some, every Saturday I go into work, they'd come in with me, school holidays. They come in, they check in, they clock out, they have lunch with the boys, they get paid, they get super, they get all the rest of it. Both of them have saved up over that past sort of 5 or 6 years a good sum of money. My son went out and spent like $10,000 on his first car. That kid could buy a brand new 79 series. Yeah. I would ensure if that's what he wanted, that's what he'd get. I could buy my son an $80,000 car. Well, let's be honest. I'm in that position. Would I? Hell no.
Yeah.
Not a hope in hell. He needs to go through the struggles. He needs to understand what it takes to modify a car, where the money comes from, you know. When the thing breaks down, how does he fix it? How does he deal with all of those situations, you know? That's all part and parcel of, you know, us really having to watch what we do over the next couple of years when it comes to those kids. You know, they're a personality. People know who they are. And kids are fucking cruel, man.
Yeah.
Like, kids are real cruel. You know what I mean? So yeah, we got to be really conscious about the next few years. But I definitely feel like up until now, Sarah and I we've done as best as we could, and I think we've done a good job.
Well, it's funny that when I was talking to Maddie, because Maddie set this up for us, that's one of the things that he said is he's just so good with his kids.
Yep.
And any time that's a thing that runs parallel with, fuck, this dude's created the gnarliest business.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing to have somebody say.
Man, it's not by accident.
Yeah,
You know
I was going
what
to say,
mean?
that takes work. Like, you can't fluke into
those kids are everything. Like, and literally they are everything to me. Nothing else matters. Like, and that's, you know, it sounds like a cliche, but that is the reality of it. And anybody who knows me knows that. You know, there is nothing else in my life that matters. Not work, not business, not the YouTube, not the social media, if it's at the detriment of my relationship with my kids. Am I the best dad in the world? Probably not. I do the best that I can, but I will always put the kids, the well-being of them in any situation that we're in relating to business or outside of business. I'll always put that as part of the first decision.
How much of that comes from the divorce of your parents?
Oh, tons.
Yeah,
heaps of it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, like we had, you know, my parents were high school sweethearts. Like me and Sarah have been together since she was 13.
Wow.
She's
what?
Yeah, dude. She was 13 years old.
Gnarly.
I was 14. You know, and we've been together that whole time. Like, my first love, and you know, the only girl. I still think she's the sexiest thing in the world. You know what I mean? And she's, you know, we kind of followed in the footsteps of my parents, but my parents were the same. They were high school sweethearts. They got divorced when I was, you know, 17, something like that. But you kind of, you know, it's like I said before, that next generation has always has to pick up on the flaws of the prior generation, you know. But my parents were good parents. Yeah. Really good parents, you know. My dad, I'm one of 8. Did you know that?
No.
There's 8 of us.
Wow.
Yeah? 6 boys, 2 girls, 1 mum, 1 dad. Yeah. So we had a massive family. So one-on-one time with my old man was rare. It was really rare because there was so many of us. But we were always, you know, like my parents, we were always doing shit with them on the weekend. You know, we were going out camping, or, you know, we always found time to do something, go to the beach. But it was, as we all started getting older, it got a lot harder. So that's where, I mean, I can't be alone, right? I cannot be alone. I can't do it. I cannot sit in an empty house on my own. If I'm at home and everybody goes, I have to go and find something to do. Growing up with 7 brothers and sisters, I'm just not used to it. Yeah. You know, and I don't like it. So now it started getting to the stage that I'm really kind of hassling my kids on the weekend to do shit with me. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you got to have the realization that this is their time now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they'll go out, and I know they're coming back. I always set the rules. You have to be home by X time. If they have to be home at 5 o'clock, well, guess what? 4:45, I'm sitting out the back waiting for them. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a little bit creepy, but you know, that's something that you got to deal with as a parent. You know, I hear parents say, "Oh, I can't wait for the kids to be out of the house." Fuck that. I don't want my kids to ever leave the house.
That's awesome.
They're my best mates. Yeah. All 3 of them. They are my best mates. You know, I do everything with them, and I hope it lasts for as long as possible, without really, you know, suffocating them and letting them do what they need to do.
So being with your missus since you were 14 and she was 13. Yeah. That is about as uncommon as it gets. It's like odd. Yeah. Oh, it's
when people hear that, I get the reaction that you just gave me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you look and you're like, huh?
Yeah, I fucking admire it.
Oh, dude, legit.
We are like, man, we're fucked for choice. Yeah. There's too much choice.
Well, there is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're not that much older than me. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
But I mean,
like, you definitely grew up in a different time.
I'm in a different situation though, because, you know, prior to obviously social media, Facebook, and all that kind of bullshit, you had the pick of the girls that were at your school. or you know, maybe the girls that you met on at a party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now,
that's what it was like for me when I was younger.
Yeah, now the networking, dude,
Yeah.
is just my kids on the weekend hang out. I would say 20% of their friends that they hang out with on the weekend are from their school.
Yeah.
20%. And then there's a mix of another 10s and 15 percentiles that are different schools from around the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
That never happened when I was growing up.
No.
Never. That never happened. You ran with your crew from your school, maybe some crew from another school, not crew from 10 or 15 different schools.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, man.
Yeah.
So that's where the social networking is now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they do have a lot more choice now.
But I don't know that that's a good thing.
No, hell no. I'm not saying it is.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it is. But you know, I was because of that, and again, the parental influence. It was an influence from my parents. You know, they were very successful. They were, you know, up until obviously divorce. Man, they were so in love. You know, like my parents were like. It crushed the network here when, you know, Julian Robert getting divorced? Like, what? You know? So that was, I think, based off the back of my parents doing it at a young age, and my parents were all for it. You know, they encouraged it. They encouraged the fact that I had a lot of friends that don't get locked down with a chick now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? When my parents did, they kind of nurtured that relationship, you know, and like, yeah, dude, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a lot where it kind of come from. And man, we've, like everybody, we've had our ups and downs, and we've had, dude, I know we've both had times where it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why are we still together?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
what did you rationalize when people would be like, I can't believe you're just going to bang one chick for your whole life?
Never.
You just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You said it. Like, honestly, don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was always
that is such like a, I mean, that's such a huge thing for dudes.
Yeah.
In life.
It was never for me.
Yeah. Hey, hats off to you for that.
I had, at that time growing up though, actually, you know, thinking about it, I've got a good mate of mine, Mick, that I haven't seen. He lives over in WA in Karratha now. And I remember, you know, we were real young. I think we must have been about 15, and we were sleeping up in my mate's attic. And he just got with his chick, who he's still married to today, Jess, right?
Yeah, right.
So he was in a very similar situation to me. I remember one night, me and him were like 15 years old, and we were sleeping up in our buddy's attic. And I remember he said to me that night, he goes, dude, how good is it not doing what all these fuckers are doing?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, oh man, I just, you know, you and Sarah and me and Jess, like, we don't have to worry about all that shit. At 15, when all the other boys were like, what are you guys doing? You know what I mean? So it never, I don't know, just never, the thought process never affected me.
Yeah, man, I've been victim to that shit.
Yeah.
Like massively. Like when I was in the States, fucking, it was just it was a currency, man.
Yep.
Like that, and that's the problem. I've spoken about on here before, and I've really realized that definitely in the last few years is as a guy, do everything you can to avoid the bitches that you're banging being a currency.
Yeah.
Like, because and even saying it like that, that's the way that it's said. That's the way that it's thought of, and it's fucking wrong.
I've always been exposed to it, dude. Like, I've got, you know, my mates.
You're working in a factory.
But I got mates that are still doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was running around with that whole crew, and that's exactly how it was. And even after school, like, you know, all the boys went overseas to run that currency. That's what they all did, right? Yeah. I've seen the stories, I've seen the photos, watched the movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, back at the time, it's like, you know, they're all high fives and shit. Well, now, all of those boys now look back at it and be like, dude, what was it doing?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think it's a fairly deep regret for some of them. Others of them are like, man, that was the time of my life.
Yeah.
But I never wanted to experience that. I never got to experience that. And I sure as fuck don't miss it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
yeah, it's super cool to hear. Like, that's a story that you just don't hear. And again, it's like that discipline. Like, there's so much discipline in that.
A lot of work in that, man.
I bet.
A lot of work in that. A lot of temptation there, eh? You know, with the crew.
Especially once you start getting money and you start getting a bit of fame.
Oh, it was probably more back in the early days where it probably would have been easier. I think now these days I get so nervous when I'm out in public. You know what I mean? Of people watching me and watching what I'm doing, watching how I talk to my kids. there's no way I'd get away with cheating on my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Not in a CBD anyway. There'll always be someone somewhere that's, oh, dude, it happened to us Hamilton Island when I was up there with your brother over Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Man, we were walking out of, listen to this shit. We're walking out of the pub on Hamo, right? We've got a few beers underneath us. And one of my best mates, Arle, his wife, Beck, super sexy, right? She turns heads anywhere that she goes. She's always dressed to the nines. She looks perfect. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't Beck, it was Bree. Another one of my mates. Actually, his wife is exactly the same, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Always dressed to the nines, blonde, gorgeous thing. We come walking out of the pub, and we were I think we were arm in arm or something like that. And Sarah was behind us, right? We come walking out of the pub. This chick I've never seen before in my life, like, you know, mid-40s, with her girlfriend and two of her husbands. That's not your wife? And I'm like, huh?
What?
And Sarah like pops her head out from behind me and she goes, I'm right here. And the lady goes, I'm so sorry. Like, because she knew us from Patriot Games.
Yeah.
She knows the brand, saw me. You know, in what position was she to say who I was walking down the street with? You know what I mean?
If it quacks like a duck.
Well, yeah. Man, so there's no way I'd get away with it these days anyway. Not that I've looked, honestly, not that I honestly do not have the temptation. I don't have it in me. I never have. I don't want anything else.
Yeah.
Like I don't there's nothing else I want. I don't want another girl. I don't want another girl from any aspect.
Yeah.
My wife to me is perfect. I'm never going to get any better than that.
I'm
good.
It's so good to have that perspective, and especially to keep it through everything that I'm like the pressures that I'm sure you guys have been under with business, and then the pressures of success. The pressures of success are just as relevant as the pressures of failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Like, oh man, more.
A problem's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. A problem's a problem. I was thinking about that scene out of what was it, American whatever, where he's trying to stack that cash behind the door in the hangar.
Which one's that?
What's that American? What's it called? Oh. Tom Cruise, American. He's the pilot. Oh, Top Gun. No. It's a newer one.
I haven't watched a movie in like 2 years.
Bro, I'm telling you now, you got to watch this. He's flying drugs around in the plane. Tom Cruise movie came out like 2 years ago. It's called American. So you got to see this scene, man, where he's trying to stash this cash behind. American Made. That's it. American Made. I don't know whether you'll find the scene. It's somewhere in there. Maybe just put stacking cash behind the door or something, dude. This would be a problem.
Yeah.
But you know, any problem's a problem, right?
Fucking oath.
Any problem's a problem.
Yeah.
You got to deal with it. You know, whether it's a success or a failure.
Yeah, there was a book that I read. I didn't particularly enjoy, but it was that subtle art of not giving a fuck. Like I sort of started reading it.
I got like a chapter into it, and I'm like, you know what? This guy's a fucking moron.
Yeah,
I couldn't read it.
I think he's just appealing to people that are way further backwards in like they're at a starting point of somewhere, you know what I mean? So I think if you've been through anything, I've
been told by so many people, man, you got to read it, you got to read it, you got to read it. Honestly, I think I've had 3 or 4 copies of that book bought for me, where people have handed it to me, and I've read the first chapter, and I'm like, dude, this ain't for me.
I got that same thing with that book, but there was the one thing that I did enjoy was he talks about picking your problems,
right?
And I think that is quite relevant because I think that people have it misconstrued that you aim to build a life without problems, and I don't think that's possible.
It's impossible.
So what you need to do is you need to build a life with problems that you've picked for yourself. Because a problem that you've picked for yourself is a lot easier to face and overcome than a problem that was given to you at random.
A lot of truth in that.
So that was something I actually did take from that book, which was quite...
definitely a lot of truth in that. I think that, you know, from the entrepreneur side, I suppose, you know, you've got to be able to, you got to be multifaceted when it comes to problems, though. Because at the end of the day, look, my business always operates better when I'm not there. Always.
Really?
And there's only one common denominator to that. And people are forced into making decisions, right? When Justin's there, it's very easy to get a Justin decision and then turn around and say, well, Justin said. It's very easy to do. And it's a big problem in my business, to be honest with you. It's a problem that I cause, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I've got my fingers in everything. You know, when I can't help it. Like when I'm there, it's my baby. You know what I mean? I want to know how all the wheels are turning and how everything's meshing together. But what I find is, you know, when I do those stints to the US, I'm gone for a month, or we're out filming on a big trip for 3 or 4 weeks, there are no problems that need a solution from Justin.
Yeah.
Because they don't have access to it.
Yeah.
You know, when I say to people I'm going, because I have to now, right? There's too many of them. If I'm on a business trip, either filming or even family time, which we haven't done a family trip in 6 years anyway, not filming.
Not filming, yeah.
So if we're filming or if I'm in the US, if I'm away, nobody is allowed to call me and nobody is allowed to email me but my business manager, Tanya, who runs the whole show. She is one of my best friends and she's my right hand, right? Everything has to go through there. She's been best friends with my wife since they were kids, you know what I mean? Right. And she runs the whole show. She runs the whole of Patriot Campers. But they have to go through there. But what I find is that when I hear the decisions that have been made, mate, more times than not, I almost fall off my chair. Like, how did you make that decision? And what chose you to make such a good fucking decision? Because they generally always get it right. You know what I mean? They stuff up like I do.
Yeah.
And if I fuck up, I've got to wear it. If they do, they have to wear it. I'd never yell at anybody for making a mistake. I don't think anybody in my team could say that. I never, ever yelled at anybody for making a mistake.
You're just happy that they at least made one.
Happy that they made, don't get me wrong, I've yelled at people, but never for making an honest mistake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yeah, it just, you know, that decision-making process, empowering people inside of the business to be able to make those decisions, man, it's powerful, eh? Yeah. It's really powerful for any business owner. And I get that a lot from, you know, a lot of people I talk to is like, how did you grow? Because we've had 400% year-on-year growth since we started. Do you know what that does to your head? Yeah. You know what that takes to keep up with, to be able to have the infrastructure to support that growth? How
about just the personal pressure on yourself? Like, because I mean, so I'm personally taking a lot from this. So this has become selfish for my own my own benefit, and hopefully people can take out of it as well. Yeah. But the last few months for us have just been like bang, bang, bang. Yep. And I definitely feel a pressure to not go backwards. Yep. And sometimes shit's just not in your control to where you can keep up that growth. Yep. But I mean, what do you do to deal with even the personal pressure of just like striving for something? Like,
you got to resource it, dude. You have to resource it, and that's something that I've only just figured out. I'll be honest with you, that's something I've just figured out. Why can't that person do what I do? Why will that person, and I'm talking employees, why will he not work 15 hour days? Why is it 5 o'clock and he's gone home and I'm still here doing it? Well, if everybody in your business had the same intentions for your business that you did, I don't think they'd be working for you, man. Yeah. To be perfectly honest with you. I think resourcing people, burning out people is something that I've done a fair bit. You know what I mean? I'm conscious of it now. I'll honestly say I haven't really been conscious of it in the past.
So you just be like, come on, get on board, let's fucking go.
That's right. My expectations have just been, I think they've been overwhelming for a lot of people. There is, look, at Patriot Campers though, here's the thing, and this only came to light like a week ago when I was interviewing someone to come into the management team, a new position. And we started rattling through the names of the managers of the departments through the business. Every single manager of every department at Patriot Campers is the first person that was hired into that position when that position became available at Patriot Campers. When we knew that we needed a operations manager, it's still the same guy that we hired. When we needed an engineering manager, it's still the same guy that we hired. When we needed a business manager, it's the same girl that we hired. Our supply chain manager is the same person that we first hired. And it's kind of uncanny that you look around the business or look around people that are plugged directly into me, that are motivated by the culture that is, the expectation that is set at Patriot Campers. I think they're all really happy, and they've all been there for a long time. You know,
that says a lot,
dude. And that's like, you know, that was a really proud moment when we had that discussion last week. And I kind of looked around the office, and I'm like, fuck, maybe we are doing something right here. Maybe the cultural aspect of the business and the demands on those staff now moving into the future, that we have the financial visibility now. We're financially we're sustained now. We know where the business is at. We've ran on the line, dude, for the first 5 years of the business. We ran right on the fence. It was going to go two ways. The thing was going to work, or I was gonna burn down Babylon. Like man, I don't make any apologies for it. I put in a management team like 3 years ago into my business, and that management team, I took my eye off the ball and I went to the US and I put this management team in, dude, and they almost sunk me, And I will never, ever, ever do that again. Never. While Patriot Campers is under my control, it will be wholly and solely the financial responsibility of me and me only. I'll never put that burden onto anyone over again, because there's 130 families that rely on me directly. And then the flow-on effect I was talking to you before about that supply chain and the reliability that supply chain has now on me, you know, economy stimulation, we might be $100 million a year now. Fuck. You know what I mean? Of $100 million of cash that relies on...
And that's in Australia.
In Australia. Of Patriot Campers. I'm not talking about our sales or revenue. I'm talking I'm talking about the pyramid effect of the people that are now relying on the income that is stimulated from Patriot Campers selling a product into the market. That's a fucking burden, man. Yeah. That's a big burden, and that's something that it keeps me up at night. It genuinely does. So when we have the meetings, and it's the same with the customers, you know, when the customers have a bad experience at Patriot Campers, man, it brings tears to my eyes a lot of the time. It really does, because you think about and you hear the stories. Someone will buy a house, they'll buy a car, and then they will buy a product to enrich their family's lives, like I said before. And that's what Patriot Campers does. So that the pressure that we're talking about, dude, as you become more successful and more people rely on you, you can't avoid it, man. Yeah. You can't avoid it. But what you do need to do is you need to resource it. You have to resource it. You can't have the expectation that people think like you think. They're not driven like you're driven. They won't put the hours in, and we shouldn't expect them to do that. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, there's times where we have to. I'll grab the engineering team and I'll be like, boys, we're burning right through the night. We got to be at a competition tomorrow. That's not a what's the word? That's not an unrealistic ask or task of people that are involved in your business. Yeah. That will in return benefit on the success of your business. What is completely unrealistic is asking them to do that day after day. Yeah. Over an extended period of time. You know, I have a saying. Anybody who works for me knows my saying. You're either on the bus or you're not. Yeah. If you don't want to be on the bus, there's the front gate. If you don't believe in what we're doing here, if you have no faith in the management team and the direction that we're taking the business, get off the bus, dude. Yeah. You're on the wrong bus. It's just that simple. But the guys that want to be there, that want to come with us, I will make every single opportunity available to them that I possibly can. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I do. And I don't think that there's anybody current state. This is not Justin in the past though. I've chased an employee down the street with a hammer one night when I was in my 20s. You know what I mean? I've been there, man. I've made all of those mistakes. Yeah. But I didn't get it then. Yeah. You know, I didn't understand back then what really the responsibilities are as the CEO or director or manager of people. Everybody's different, man. And everybody needs that cultural, you know, they need that cultural feeling in their work, you know, regardless of what they're doing at Patriot, whether they're up in the accounts office or they're at the back sweeping the floor. Yeah. They got to feel the love, man.
And culture's such a huge thing, and it's so dependent on leadership.
No, dude, it's like, well, it's like I said, man, you're the captain, you know, the whole team looks for your guidance, mate. They look at you and you only. If you're not motivated, or if they don't agree with the direction that you're taking your business in, whatever that may be, you know. And again, this is all my opinion, eh? These are my successes. These are the things that have helped me along in business. They might not apply to everyone, and that's the key. You've got to, you know. I think one thing that I'm really, really good at, I'm really good at taking information from multiple people around me, but only applying what I need out of that information. Yeah. I will never, ever take somebody's experience and apply it to my business. I don't think I've ever done that. You know, you can't, you know, people will go and read Richard Branson's books and then go and quote him for the next 18 months. Man, I think there's so many quotes that have come from that guy that I'm like, dude, you didn't write that. Yeah. You couldn't have written that from your experiences, because that's bullshit. You know what I mean? But you take out the parts of that are relevant to you, or the other business owners around you that are successful, and you take all of those little bits and pieces from those guys, and somehow you kind of melt all that into a pot, and you come out with a foundation that you create your own business on.
Yeah.
Or your own set of goals or achievements. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you say that you were a natural leader, or do you think that leadership is something that you've grown into?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, but everybody who's known me my whole life says that.
Yeah.
All of my mates say that about me. My parents have always said that about me. I don't think I've ever felt that until Patriot Campers.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever felt like a leader until I actually built the team that I built at Patriot Campers. I haven't built a team like that in any of the other businesses I've owned or any of the businesses I've started, because I was too green, man. I didn't really understand what motivated people. I didn't understand why, like I said before, if I asked you to work 20 hours a week for 5 days, well, I'm paying you fucking wage. You should do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand why they wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just, man, it's life skills. At the age of 40 now, dude, like I think I'm such a better person. It's going to be subjective to people who have had different experiences with me, but I honestly believe now at 40, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Like I'm really starting to understand everything: business, relationships, parenting, finance. You know what I mean? What do I really want? What don't I really want? Man, for my 20s and 30s, the only thing that I wanted, the only thing I ever wanted was a Ferrari. I can go and buy a Ferrari tomorrow now, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want one anymore. Those days are gone, man. I've changed.
Fuck, the feeling of not wanting a Ferrari after wanting a Ferrari is probably better than the feeling of buying a Ferrari.
Well, man, I pulled up here today in my 79 Series Land Cruiser. There's a Ferrari sitting out there, and it's a shitbox Land Cruiser, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what motivated me. That's what motivates me now. I'd rather tip my cash into that. You know what I mean? I've had fun building it. I've collaborated with a lot of Australian manufacturers in building that truck. And that thing there, if you want to be a baller, I can tell you right now, Ferrari ain't going to get the looks that that thing down there gets.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a different motivation now, man. It's completely. Don't get me wrong. My finance department would tell me that I can't buy a Ferrari, but I'd do it anyway.
Yeah.
I know that we could make it happen. But I don't want it.
Yeah.
I'm not there. Those days are gone. They're past.
Yeah, there must be a cool position to be in. Like, I mean, I'm sure that, like, with anybody that, does this podcast and they're still like, you'll leave here and you'll go straight back to work and it'll be like back on the grind.
I've got a meeting at 12:30, dude. I have to be back at work.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, so life goes on.
Yeah, man.
But it must be cool to be in a position, when you can reflect on how far you guys have come as a business and then as a person, because I feel like the business can't grow unless the person
grows with it.
And it's such, like, I think that, sort of to what we said before, there's like the insecurities that you deal with of like failing in front of people, and then the bigger you are, the harder you fall.
Yep.
And the bigger you are, the more people that probably want to see you fall.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more to this than just selling a bunch of campers,
Oh, mate, and I think there's a couple of different levels of people that look at us from a couple of different perspectives, and like I said, it can be really difficult to deal with. It can be really difficult to deal with because you don't know what that person who's making that comment on you on whatever front it is. You don't know what the motivation is for the comments that they're making.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is it jealousy? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I don't know. Jealousy's a bad thing, man. Jealousy. Who said it best? Drake. Jealousy is love and hate at the same time.
Yeah, true.
That's what it is, man. That's what it is. That is exactly what it is. Jealousy doesn't come purely out of hate, dude. It really doesn't. It can't. There's got to be an element of love for somebody to be affected by something that you have or something that you've done.
And jealousy is a weird one too, because you can't. It's such a loaded term, because you can't call somebody out for being jealous of you without it reflecting poorly on you.
No, because
so
then
it's a real loaded term.
Then you called arrogant.
Exactly,
mate. Arrogant, dude. I love that word. The more people call me arrogant, the more I know I'm passionate about what I do. I love that. Honestly, I like that word. You know what I mean? It's the same as anger. When I come across as angry, it's never fueled by hate. It's always fueled by passion. And the people who know me, who work with me, they get that. They understand that. I don't think I'm ever put in a position by anybody that I have to apologise for being angry, because if they know me, they know it's purely out of passion, and it's because I have the ability to put myself in the shoes. And most of the time, it's obviously it's Patriot Campers side, it's business side, and the anger only ever comes out when we let a customer down. And that is the God's honest truth. That is hand on heart shit. Nobody can challenge that. The only time that anybody will see me angry is when we are affecting a customer, or you're doing something completely stupid. You know what I mean? But it's always the customer that I always truly have in mind. Yeah, and again, man, that's only happened recently, eh? Because back in the day, it was like, yeah, dude, buy my stuff, we'll make that money. You know what I mean? All that kind of, bullshit. Yeah. Which is just not the reality of where we're at now, where the company's at now. And we start getting our employees thinking like that, dude, we will truly be unstoppable. Yeah. You know? Because like that's the thing, like you can do both. You can be the greatest brand and you can sell a fuck ton of shit and you can make a bunch of money, and you can also be a super good person. You can. You can definitely do both. You don't have to be, you get pigeonholed, and I think that happens, it happens quite early on quite early at age. I was known for being angry when I was younger, man. I was known for it, I was known for being the first boy to jump in when a brawl started, and you kind of get, I don't know, you kind of, when someone creates what's the word I'm looking for here? When someone creates an opinion of what you are and you kind of get known for that opinion of what you are, well, I think after a while you start playing towards that, whether that's you or not. 100%. You know what I mean? Like people create, and it's the same on Patriot Games now, where it used to really affect me in the early days when we first started on Patriot Games, where people would come up with these opinions on who Justin is. You know what I mean? And then you start playing into the character. Oh yeah, I love to break shit. Yeah. I love to go and break shit. I'll take this $500,000 car and I'll roll it down a hill. Yeah. Well, you watch the newer episodes of Patriot Games and I'm like, fuck that, I ain't doing that because I ain't damaging my car. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, forget all of that. Well, the thing is, man, is that like who we actually are, like who is Justin, who is Jace, like it's a story that's just perpetuated in our heads. We are who we are as selves is the story that we tell. Yep. And that's the story that is influenced by people. And it's one of the things like I always like the GYPSY thing. Like, man, where does that come from, by the way? So one of my best friends, I basically like that camera that I told you about that I bought. Yeah. So I had that camera and I had an old ass Hi-Ace and I just drove all around Australia and I would sleep on the couches of these pro motocross dudes and I just filmed these videos and I had a website and I put them on my website and I was like trying to make like a media company and I had no fucking money. I was like raping people's internet and Wi-Fi. So like I was just this little hurricane that came in and I'd like fuck people's Wi-Fi. I'd eat all their food. I'd sleep on their couch. Like full blown GYPSY. Yep. But it's funny. Like, so my best friend, I started working for him and his family, making videos for their race team. And his mum was like, "You need to be careful saying that so much." Because he's going to start to really believe it. And honestly, I did for a long time. And like, I believed that I wasn't really going to be able to make much money. And like, even now, money's a fucking problem for me, just in my head of like, I don't make money. I'm this, I'm that. Like, there's a story. Oh, and it was, what? This is you responding to saying, I don't make money and I don't. Yeah, I believe the story. Yeah. You know, like, this is a story that and people, and now, like, I'm fucking careful of the people around me. Yeah. I don't want to tell a story that somebody can believe in their own head. And it's not a bad, like, I don't think we had the thought, like, we're young kids, you know what I mean? Like, and it was a funny nickname and I played into it. And I love that lifestyle. Like, that just, like, I thought that was freedom. Yeah. You know, but it affected me and it follows through now. So we do have to be really careful of the stories that we listen to, the stories that we tell ourselves. And on the flip side, you can't just
fucking tell yourself that you're the best and you're the man, and you can't listen to that shit either.
It's
like,
such
you've
a fine
really
line.
got to be careful, because
it is
all
such a fine line.
Yeah, all we have is the story in our head.
Yeah, and look, it's man, I resonate with that. Like, I really resonate with that. It's such a fine line between, you know, the stories that you tell, the opinions that people make of you, and then how you kind of process that, and then ultimately what your head believes. You know what I mean? And it's so it can be so. Oh, look, I'm going to tell you a story. I've never told anybody this. Anybody outside of you know, my close crew. We had a I was over in SEMA when was that? Was it 17 or 18? 18, I think it was. So I took my black truck, right? The most famous Land Cruiser in the world. Right? I still 79 series anyway. So I built that here, and that was the car that launched Patriot Campers. That was the car that blew up our YouTube and got people really started looking at us. You know, we built this dual cab, black on black, you know, we built it in 2015. The thing went viral, went around the world. There was articles published in like Lufthansa magazine. It was in Playboy in the United States, and the thing just went mental, right? So I've put that thing, every dollar that we had at that time, to put that car into a container and send it to the United States and take it to SEMA to launch Patriot Campers at SEMA, right? So at that time, financially, we weren't doing very well. It was one of those gambles that, you know, I was advised against doing by everybody around me. I'm like, yeah, cool. Thanks for the advice, but this truck's going to SEMA because this is how America is going to find out about Patriot Campers. So we sent it over there. I arrived at SEMA the day before, and one of the organisers of SEMA, he came up to our booth and he found me and he goes, mate, the black truck, I've just seen it out the front. I'm like, yeah. He goes, how would you feel about opening SEMA with the black truck? I'm like, huh? He goes, Chip Foose is going to be there, Dave from Kindig Customs, Diesel Brothers, all the big boys. There's 10 cars in the parade. We want you to be the 11th car in the parade. And dude, it was like, in business, like it was like, fuck, we made it. I'm opening SEMA. I've been watching this event my whole life. You know what I mean? It is like the biggest aftermarket automotive event in the world, in Las Vegas. Imagine what was pumping through my veins, right? So me and my wife, Sarah was obviously with me. We didn't have the kids with us that year, and that's massive regret for me. But kids under the age of 16 are not allowed into SEMA.
Yeah,
so we didn't have them with us. So we've jumped in the black truck and we've gone on this parade and we've opened SEMA, dude. There's a big crowd there. Everyone's going mental. It's televised. It's just, and I'm like, dude, 79 series from Australia, and we're here with the guys that I've grown up watching, the best car modifiers in the world. So I was on just this ridiculous high. SEMA went for 3 days. Sunday night we flew out, and one of the very, very rare times, our friends flew over to come and see the black truck open SEMA. One of the really rare times off the back of a business trip, me and Sarah have gone, right, we're going to deflate, we're going to go spend 3 days in Carbo, right? So we're going to go down to Carbo, 3 days, fly home to Australia. So we arrive in Carbo on the Sunday night. Monday morning, so Australian time would have been 10 o'clock at night. The factory received notice from the AGA, the Australian Gas Commission, and the ACCC of a full recall on every Patriot camper ever built, right? And the owners' forums blew up. And there was not a mention of Patriot Campers. It was all about Justin Montesalvo and how much money is this guy making, and me being in SEMA, and we fucked all of their lives. Because all their camper, and I'm talking over a $2 gas fitting on the back of the trailer, right? That's all we had to do. We had to change a gas fitting. That was the recall. So let's put this into perspective, what was going on. It's not like suspension was falling out or chassis were cracking or trailers were rolling over. We fucked up. There was a regulation that we couldn't put a quick connect fitting in the back of the trailer. We'd been through every other single compliance that you can imagine, including full registration with Caravanning Australia. Nobody had ever picked up on it. And we've been building the trailers like that for 3 years. So it wasn't a big deal, but we got back. I was out fishing that day in Carbo, and I came back from fishing, and Sarah, because I'm not on the owners' forums, I can't deal with it, right? I can't handle it.
That makes sense.
So I'm not on there, right? And my wife, she's like, I've got to show you something, right? She waited till the end of the day, till the day was over. She knows how emotional I get about the product and that. So I've sat out the back, and I remember it was like, dude, it was like a wave came over me, eh? It was like, I don't know what you'd compare it to. I'm reading through comment after comment after comment from people I knew, customers that I'd personally sold trailers to, that I had a relationship with, and I was just getting hosed, dude. Like hosed, because of all of that social media that come off the back of us being in SEMA. So I went to bed that night about 1 o'clock in the morning, dude. I woke up like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't move, right? I was numb. And I was trying to yell out to Sarah, and like my mouth wouldn't even work right. And I'm like grunting and shit in bed. She's lying beside me, and she eventually wakes up, and she's like, what's going on? I couldn't, like, paralyzed, dude. Like full-blown paralytic, right? Couldn't move, couldn't open my mouth. Drool starts coming out the side of my mouth. She calls the front desk of the hospital. Ambulance turns up. I'm in Mexico, in the back of an ambulance, dude. Fully paralyzed. Didn't know what the hell was going on. They ended up taking me into hospital, and all they could put it down to was stress. That's what they said to me. I don't believe in stress, right? Like I honestly don't. Like for me personally, anyway. I think I can handle a lot more than probably that I should. But anyway, the point is, so that shit put me in hospital, right? And that was a really, really scary time. It took me about I had to stay in hospital overnight, and it took me about 2 days before I could start walking again. Yeah. Wow. Still, mate, got every test, came home to Australia, went to the doctors in Australia, whole deal. No one can tell me what the hell happened, right? It was just like this full blown. It was the worst thing I've ever been through in my life, right? This public ridicule based off the back of the success of the business that we'd built. And it was from then on in, a lot of things changed at Patriot Campers. I don't go onto any of the forums. We immediately started removing me from social media, because Patriot Games I can control as a brand. What I can't control is the 3,000 or 4,000 camper trailer owners that are now around the world. You know what I mean? I can't be the face of that brand anymore. I mean, commercially, for the long term, whatever we plan to do with Patriot Campers, it's a liability, me being the face of that brand. But that was second rate to the emotional attachment that I have and will always have to Patriot Campers. So that story right there, dude, if that doesn't prove, if that doesn't really prove the emotional connection that any business owner is going to have to their business, their product, their service, whatever they sell. And I think what people should really consider before they go and mouth off on social media, when there's a family business, that has been so much at the forefront at the building of the brand, and same with you and your audiences, people have got to consider that there is a personality behind that. You know what I mean? There is a family behind that. There's, your kids and your brothers and your cousins, they all read that shit. They still, every now and again, somebody who doesn't know, like a friend of mine, will flick me through a post from the owners forum that's aimed at me. And I'll always reply, dude, don't send me that again. Yeah. I don't. It's not that, and it doesn't get back to the fact that we don't value our customers' opinion, or we don't want constructive criticism. What I can't handle is the personal attacks. Yeah. We get it wrong sometimes, man. Yeah. We get it right.
Every business does.
It's not intentional. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's it is. It's a very fine line. It's a very difficult thing to deal with when you're growing a business. But if you're gonna put yourself out there, you got to deal with the consequences as well. Yeah.
Man, that sounds like you had just pretty much like a full-blown anxiety attack.
Oh, dude, I don't know what it was. It's never happened again. Like, it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it was. But yeah, dude, it was kind of like, all right, this shit's for real, eh? Yeah. Like what we're doing out there in the public, the dream that we're selling everybody.
I was gonna say, I think that's probably where it comes down to.
100%.
Is that what you guys provide? Like, it obviously gives people so much. Yeah. And there's I guess it's like a blessing and a curse, man, to like build something that can get that kind of response from people. Yeah, that's hard to do.
Well, it's not, and look, there's a sense of pride in that as well. Now, all these years later, there is a sense of pride in that as well, because it's not what we do it's not a commodity item, dude. We sell commodity items. We sell trays. Dude, people are gonna get pissed off about a late delivery on a tray. They're going to get pissed off that their wife and kids couldn't have a hot water shower, or they had to sleep in the freezing cold or the soaking wet because the product failed. And that's a really difficult part of our industry, because it's like there is so much passion involved, and the customers are so passionate. And look, not all of it, and even going back to that story, not all of it is intentionally malicious. Yeah, it wasn't intentionally malicious. You know what I mean? But it was just because of off the back of all, and that was all, you know, Patriot Games was Patriot Games? No, Patriot Games didn't have a social media presence, and so the whole SEMA experience was through Patriot Campers.
Yeah.
And then it was...
So there was no detachment.
There was no detachment. There was none whatsoever. You know what I mean? So we were posting, you know, oh my God, we're at SEMA, the black truck's here. And the first thing that comes to everybody's mind, oh, how much fucking money did it cost him to send his car over there?
Yeah.
Well, dude, it cost me almost everything that
You
I
risked
had.
everything.
And it nearly sent me broke because I was trying to launch my brand in the United States. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is, look, people don't get the whole picture, and you got to consider that as well. But the malicious attacks, I mean... Look, the favourite part of my day still is deleting people from my social media. Mate, I swear to God, that's one of the best parts of my day. If anybody says anything about my kids, or if they're... And I'm not talking Patriot Campers because I don't get involved there.
Yeah.
I'm talking Patriot Games. I have a team that handle all of Patriot Campers marketing now because it is product-based, not Montesalvo family-based.
Yeah.
But Patriot Games, though, you want to get on there and rag on me on my kids, don't watch what I do.
Yeah.
See you later. Get out. If you got some constructive opinion on, you know, oh, you guys should have taken that line, or you could have done this, or why don't you use that part? Yeah, I'll respond. Yeah, dude. Yep. Sounds good. We'll consider that. Or nah, we're not doing that because this is better. But if you want to make a personal attack on me, well, unfollow me.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing.
And unsubscribe.
Yeah, that's the thing that people don't get in like this world of content. I ain't on Channel 7.
Yeah.
You got to go to my YouTube channel.
You got to find it. You got to
Instagram.
like it for it to come up on your feed.
Yes.
So if you don't like what you see,
just don't fucking watch it.
Just don't watch it, dude.
I ain't gonna give a fuck.
No, well, you do give a fuck.
But I don't care because not everybody can like.
Yeah.
Not everyone can like me. You know what I mean? So
that's an impossibility.
Exactly. So with that in mind, if someone doesn't want to watch, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't want to be for everyone because not everyone is for everyone.
Nah,
it's like an unrealistic expectation.
You got to have a target audience. You know, it's like is the 80-year-old woman that's into gardening, you know, going to jump onto my channel and start ragging on what we do?
Yeah.
So if old mate drives whatever he drives and doesn't like Land Cruisers, why come onto my page and comment about my cars? Well, what for? Yeah. Well, I don't understand. Have you got nothing better to do?
Yeah.
You know, or majority of the time, they want that reaction.
Yeah.
They're looking for some sort of validation in their life and some sort of reaction. You know, I think it's sad.
When did you realise the power of YouTube? Because I don't think
that... Right, mate, I reckon I was the first one to do it in our industry.
Yeah, I just still don't think me and like Ronan and we put in so much effort into YouTube. Like it takes... most of the time of what goes on in this room is focused on YouTube because I know, like, I think in 2020 there was like 28 million impressions or something on the YouTube channel. And it's like, you can't get that anywhere else.
No.
Like, and I don't think people don't give YouTube the respect, and I don't think people are aware of what really investing in YouTube long term. In America they do.
Not America they do, but my opinion is, dude, we're on the cusp of the revolution. Yeah. It's about to happen right here in Australia right now. Hence the reason we went from Channel 9 to YouTube. Yeah. YouTube is so powerful, dude.
Yeah, it's insane.
It is so powerful. It's just our views when we went to YouTube tripled what they did on the 9 network. Yeah. And on the 9 network, you have one crack at it. You have Sunday from 1 o'clock till 2 o'clock, and then no one ever says your shit ever again.
And they're just passive consumers.
Yeah.
They're not active participants.
The active participants, again, like you said before, they have to search for your channel, and guess what? It's perpetual, dude. Yeah. It will keep on keeping on. Yeah. For as long as that video is up there, it will continue to grow, and it will bring more people into your brand. You know what I mean? YouTube is like, there's YouTube, Netflix, you know, any of those digital repetition platforms, broadcast TV, dude. Who the hell is going to book in a time slot in this day and age with all of the information and content that we have available to us now? Who says, you know what, on this day between this time and that time, I'm going to make sure I'm on the TV to watch this. Whatever, dude. Yeah. Who does that? You know what I mean? The numbers that the networks present to you, man. The way that they swindle the bullshit of numbers, because the thing has replayed outside of metro areas 16 times at 1 o'clock in the morning, dude, and the minors or completely the irrelevant demographic of what you're chasing, man, they are slick. You know, they are real slick. They used to do it to us. And then we'd pass that on to our sponsors in the early days and say, oh, these are the numbers that we're getting.
Yeah.
You know what? For our sponsors now, you want to see how our channel's doing, go on to YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
Have a look at the views, dude. It's on the left underneath the video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no hiding on YouTube.
And people's perspective of you changes once those numbers start climbing.
Oh, man, 100%. You know,
like
now,
we've just had that over the last like few months.
Yeah, dude, I had a look at your channel. Hey, you're getting some clicks, man.
Yeah,
you're getting some views. How long's that channel been up for?
2 years, but so like
still infant, man.
Yeah, and really it's only been like a few months of like real concentrated. Like I pretty much like Ronan has come on board, so like my biggest goal was just to grind to get it to the point where I could have another person and have enough to do and to like because the thing in business I think that people don't understand as well, and the thing that I'm probably learning is at the start you don't really know what to work on. Like you know where you want to be, but your business is only as good as the processes, like what you do every single day. Like
you need that historical data.
Yeah,
you need the historical data to make that those informed decisions on what's working and what's not.
And
in whatever aspect.
Yeah,
you know, as far as profitability on a product or marketing campaigns where you're going to be launching them into market sectors, response on product, all of that stuff only comes from in the initial stages. It only comes from your gut feel, your interpretation of the market that you're trying to attack. But after time, the only way that you know for sure is historical data.
Yeah,
that's the only way that you can, and that's the only way that you can manage an established business into the future. Yeah, yeah. To know where you're going, you have to know where you've been, right? Yeah, and that's where business is all about. But from the entrepreneurial side, it's 100% gut feel, dude. Yeah, it's gut feel, and obviously it's worked for you. Yeah, well, I think, and I think too, like I talk about all the time, like it's just maybe it's different because of this. Like I have to put myself out there so much, and I have to tell uncomfortable stories, and I have to be pretty honest about my own insecurities and shortcomings, and that's fucking annoying. You know what I mean? Like, and then you listen back, and you're like, fuck, I sound like a dickhead there. And you know, there's a lot of that you've got to get over. But I think that once like I really accepted that it just is what it is, and then from there, like you have this gut feeling of what you want it to be long term. But what it can be long term, there's other things that you've got to do in the short term to get there. And I think that there's time, like you've got to lean into certain things that maybe doesn't fully align with where you want to be in the future, but it's like it's not just this straight path forward. But that's all part. I think what you're saying there is it's all part of the discovery phase too, as well. You know what I mean? You have to try those different routes. You can't, man. I said it at the start of here. You can't just set the sails north and go north. In any business. You can't do that. You have to tack, man. You got to. I'm not a sailor. I don't know where that analogy come from, but you have to. You have to have the ability. And I think in the early days, until you've got that historical data, or you've got a culture in your business set on a path of direction, you've got to be able to formulate the agility for your business to do that, right? So even, for example, I mean, for you, for example, that might be the demo of people that you interview. You know what I mean? The best thing I've ever done through Patriot Games is I will, man, call this vein or whatever you want. I'll watch an episode of Patriot Games at launch. I mean, I'm the executive producer, so I do it all the way through. I do 6 or 7 reviews before we make it to air. But after we go to air and we have a polished episode, I'll sit there and watch that episode 3 or 4 times. And I'll watch over and over again, and I'll watch it for myself, because I'll watch it based on my character and how my character's presented. You know, the way I speak, the dialogue that I use, the vocabulary. Hardest thing for me to do on Patriot Games is not swear. I don't.
Yeah, I'm terrible at that.
Oh, bro, like it is, man. Whoa, it's hard on games, and especially in certain situations. But I'll review those episodes, and I'll look at the content, I'll look at the vehicles, I'll look at the shots, you know what I mean? I'll look at my character, I'll always really look at what works for my wife and kids. I know what angle my wife looks good at. I know what situation I get the right reaction out of, and exactly the same with the kids. And that's no different. So that's an aspect of business that doesn't relate to the manufacturing. You know, that's content creation. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But being obsessed with that meta, Like you're diving super deep into the meta.
Yep.
And so that's kind of my point before about not really knowing what to work on.
Yeah.
After a while, I know now, and I'd tell my housemate is a legend. He's one of my best mates, and he's starting his own brand. And I just said to him, I was like, man, my advice to you is to just stare at your computer, have open all the tabs. Like for me, my tabs are my podcast hosting. We got 2 YouTube channels. I got my Xero. I got my Instagram. They're my tabs that run my business.
Yep.
And whenever I don't know what to do, before I would just go. I'd just leave work. And I'd be like, fuck, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
All right, I'll come back with fresh eyes tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then after a while, like what you said, historical data, that's a great way to explain it. I do have more data to look at now. Yeah. Now, like I just dive into the meta. Yeah. I dive into the meta of everything that we do, every angle, the lighting. Yep. Because... And I think that that's
the only way you improve. That's
obsessed.
Where I was heading with that obsession.
Yeah, it's
obsession with your craft.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, that's your craft, right? Your business is your craft, and it can be your craft on so many different levels, dude. Whether that's the product you produce, the way you market it, the culture that's inside of your business. That is, as a business owner, you have to know your craft. You've got to know your skills. I think just as importantly, you have to know what you're not fucking good at too.
Yeah.
You have to have the ability to say, you know what? I'm no good at that. I can't do that role. Let's find someone who can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And get someone, you hear that saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. That's like the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You know what I mean? You have to be the smartest person in the room because this is your kingdom, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it relates to business, you have to have that concept of what everybody around you is doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to have the ability to talk their talk, get on their level, make the decisions with them, whether they're yours or they're collaborative amongst the team. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? And that's, man, it's like... Yeah, I don't know. I kind of, there's a lot of things that I think people are kind of stuffed down their throat when it comes to business and it gets back to
that's because it's a cottage industry.
Oh, it's bullshit. You know?
The Gary V's of the world and it's a cottage industry.
Yeah. All that sort of stuff, man. Yeah. I don't, look, I'll watch it, I'll listen to it, I'll take out the information that I need. I'm not, don't get me wrong, dude. I'm not saying that I'm like this.
Yeah. This
prodigy of business. This is, you want my experience. This is my experience.
Yeah.
Again, for anybody who's listening, take what you want out of this. There'll be some truths in what I'm saying, when it comes to the opinion that you got to make. And there's going to be some things you look at and go, oh, dude, that's not my style, or that doesn't really work for me, or whatever. You know what I mean? But you've got to be open to all of the information that you can get. You got to know your craft, dude. You have to know it inside out, back to front, because nobody else will do that.
Well, man, I could tell instantly when we very first started this, and you said like, oh, the setting up a FS7, I was like, yeah, he really is invested in this.
Yeah, dude.
I bet you could tell me the different parts of each one of the trailers and also the lenses that you shoot your YouTube shit with.
Yeah, well, look, it's, we have these jokes with the guys with the camera crew all the time about, their ISOs and what f-stop they're on and all that sort of shit. Well, I don't even know how to button the thing on. You know what I mean? I know the camera, I know what it's worth, I know the parts, I know the spares we need to take. If we're packing for a trip, dude, I could probably go and pack the camera equipment. I probably could. Yeah. I've crashed more drones than probably anybody because I'm genuinely interested.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I want to understand. I want to stand. That is my craft. Whether I'm the guy that's physically on the camera, getting that thing in focus, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. But I've got to understand the people that are around me and what they're going through and the struggles that they're going to have in those situations as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that goes for any aspect of any business.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Well, I think that the thing that I'm learning, or I've learned lately, is that I think that this business, because this is a business, it's a sick job. This is my job. I come here every single day. It's an awesome job.
I'm thinking I could do this.
I reckon you could as well.
Bro, I reckon I could do this. Aircon on, fridge full of Red Bull.
Let's get you going, bro.
Let's just rock it. There's another mic there, dude. Let's get someone in and we'll team up on this shit.
Patriot Games podcast. I feel like that could be a thing.
Patriot GYPSY tales, maybe. I don't know.
Let's go. We'll do it on the boat.
Yeah, we'll do it on the boat. Back to Hamo, dude. Let's go.
But yeah, it's one of those things where I think that I've found that things have gotten better when I stopped thinking about maybe like where it's going to go in the future and thinking more like broad strokes and just thinking about like, okay, this is like, what do I love? Like, what makes this thing tick? Like, what makes it better? Down to like obsessing over thumbnails and like, you know, just the getting into the meta of whatever that it is that your business is. And there is meta in everything that, you know, there's the meta of the trailers, there's the meta of the accounting, there's like if you can dive head first into the details and the minutia of the business that you're trying to build, but it can be anything, like whether you're you know, like I do jiu-jitsu and there's like crazy detailed meta in that, and it's like that's where the juice is. Like, go in there, and if you can get all of those boxes ticked and get everything working, get processes in place for everything that you can identify that needs a process. Yeah. Everything else should come if it's viable. And if you do all of that and it still ain't working, then you just might not be in like a viable deal.
Maybe not cut for it, dude. It's you know, what kind of came to mind there when you were saying that, you know, business is no different to a sport, eh? It is a sport. It is genuinely a sport. Either it's a game of tennis where it's one-on-one, or it's a game of football where it's a team. It doesn't matter. I think there is so many synergies between sport and business that it's ridiculous. You know, you talk about jiu-jitsu, and what kind of just brought that to mind. I've got a couple of mates of mine that are like UFC nuts, right? Yeah. Jiu-jitsu. I heard them. I think you know one of them. A couple of the boys were up there with me. We'll talk about who they are later. I don't want to drop names, but we were up at Hamo, dude, and we were on the back of the boat. Went out fishing for the day. I swear these two guys on the back of the boat the whole fucking day just talked about jiu-jitsu moves. Yeah. Just jiu-jitsu moves. That's all they were talking about. A little bit of players in the UFC, but just different arm bars and different moves. And it was like 8 hours worth of moves, right? Yeah. That's no different to what we're talking about here, is it?
It's the same shit.
Can you imagine if those two guys had that application that they had on jiu-jitsu and put it into the resource of a business? Yeah. Dude, well, you know what I mean? That's the sport of business. Yeah. You got to become an absolute expert on, you know, back to knowing your craft. You have to become an expert on everything that relates to your business, and then you can make the right decisions. That doesn't mean that you have to do everything. And that's a really hard thing to do as well, right, eh? That is a really, really tough thing to do, is to sit there and watch somebody do something that you know you can do it better, quicker, more efficiently, more cost effective, and having the ability to not jump in there and do it. That is tough. That is really, really tough. Yeah. That's taken me... Man, I did it yesterday, and I didn't even know that I did. I was walking down the production line yesterday. There's 30-odd people on the production line. I seen an awning sitting on the floor, and one of the boys was waiting for another one of the guys to lift the awning up, and I'm walking past, and just naturally, I just bent over, picked the awning, come in, let's chuck it on. The operator, he looked at me like, what the fuck? What's Justin doing on the production line? Like, I walk up and down there every day. None of them have ever seen me touch a tool. Ever. They've never seen it. I swear those guys think that I don't know how to operate a socket, or I don't know what a shifter is, or I can't weld. You know what I mean? I'm sure that's what they all think, because they haven't seen it for that long, because I've been so focused and religious on not trying to get involved and do everything, because it's an impossibility. You know what I mean? But I think every now and again too, for them to really understand where this all come from. And I'm sure it would have gone through the factory yesterday, because I was saying, like, when I was doing it, I was seeing like 10 different people in the factory looking at me like,
what the fuck?
What is going on? Justin is working on a camper trailer on the production line. Hey, quick, come over here. Look at Justin. Like, fuck, man. But it was, you know, it's having that ability to let your team do what they do. You know, I get involved with all my teams, I work with them on the decisions, but at the end of the day, man, it's all about ownership for those people and those teams. Yeah. If they own it, they feel like they're a part of it, they're responsible for it, and that's when I get the best out of them.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense. Yeah. And so that business sport analogy, like, are you treating yourself like an athlete in
100%.
terms of like your mental well-being, your physical well-being,
100%.
your sleep, like, and when did that sort of click in?
Man,
and like, what's your efforts that you put into yourself?
It started with Patriot Campers, man. So I was like, you know, dude, I've struggled with weight my whole life. Same sub story, like whatever. It didn't affect me. I didn't care. I had the girl that I wanted, you know what I mean? I had the lifestyle I wanted, I had the mates that I wanted, I had the cars that I wanted. I didn't care. I was 120 kilos. I was fat, dude. Like, I was good and solid, up and down all the way through. You know, probably...
what was the problem that you had with weight?
Just food. Just flat. And
was it a comfort thing?
No.
Or just like indulgence?
It's still the same problem I have now. It's indulgence, you know what I mean? But when I started, I didn't step foot in a gym until I was 34 years old. The year before I started Patriot Campers.
Because you're a fucking fit dude.
Not right now, I'm not.
Well, you look pretty fit.
I just had open back surgery in September.
Oh, really?
I had to learn to walk again. Yeah, I put on like... what did I put on? Like 12, 14 kilos. Yeah. So I had, Jesus, you're getting it all out of me today. Nobody knows that. No one.
What, that you had surgery?
Yeah.
Or?
So I had my L3, L4 disc replaced in, oh no, it was a bit earlier than that. What was it? August last year. Yeah. So yeah, they cut my spine open. They cut my disc out with a chisel and a hot knife through the front too.
Ooh.
So they took all of my organs out, put it like on my stomach, chiseled my spine out, put a new one in. I wasn't meant to walk for 2 days. I walked out of the hospital the day after and went to work.
Wow.
I was in work the day after the surgery, which, man, I can't sit. There's no way I was going to be sitting in the hospital bed. But anyway, the point was, so I put on like, what did I put on, like 12 kilos. And now I can't, at the moment, still, because I'm still in recovery, I've got a scar from my belly button all the way down.
That's
you know?
bad, that cut, eh?
Oh, dude, It is brutal. My kids call it the front bum.
Yeah.
Because it's like where they cut you from your belly button all the way down to the tip.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, dude, it's like 6 or 8 mil wide.
Yeah.
It looks like a 6 mil weld all the way down my stomach. And all the skin's kind of all hanging around it and that. But yeah, I can't box anymore. I can't run. I will be.
Yeah.
Not within another 6 months, I'll start doing that. But anyway, getting back to the point. So, you know, when I started Patriot and I was so physically unfit at the speed I was running at, and it took me until like 35 to really realise it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I was like, man, I work kind of 12, 14 hours a day. I was eating like my whole life. I've only probably eaten 2 meals a day. I'll eat just after lunch, and then when I get home, I'll eat until I literally fall asleep.
Yeah.
That was just that's just the way I was.
Normal, yeah.
And then I started with Patriot. It was my cousin. The first person I ever hired at Patriot was my cousin, right? And he came out just to help me out with sales. And he was a fair bit younger than me at that time. He was about 23 or 24, and he was just jacked, dude, like a bodybuilder, jacked. But he's like 6 foot, I don't know, 6'1", 6'2", big boy, ripped, big six pack, all the rest of it. And we started traveling together to and from work because it was up in Brisbane. And he was kind of just on me, come to gym. Meet me at gym, we'll train there, we'll have a shower, and then we'll go to work together. And that's where it all kind of started. I started training for a couple of months, and then it was like my body was just yearning for it.
Yeah.
Because it was like the weight just started falling off me, dude. My arms just started going like this, and shirt started getting like tighter. And I'm like, dude, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then like, man, it wouldn't have even been 12 months later, man, I'd dropped like 25 kilo. You know what I mean? I was ripped. I was fit. I was like, man, I was boxing 12 rounds a day. You know, I'd go to the gym. I'd train weights in the morning, and then I'd go and train with my trainer in the afternoon. I'd go down there every afternoon and do 12 rounds. Like, just throw down 12 rounds. Yeah, all right, cool. I'll see you tomorrow.
That's so sick.
Like, just macking. And these were in the early days of Patriot Games. So now it's a really big part of my day.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really big part of what's changed me as well.
Yeah.
Because that hour in the morning, and my son, Christian, he's with me every day now. Straight out, he hears me at 4:30 in the morning, straight out of bed. He's in the gym with me now.
That's sick.
He's getting strong too. He arm curled the same as what I did this morning. But you get that. It's the only time in my life where I'll get an hour to myself, or 2 hours, depending on what I'm doing on that day. I get that time to myself. I can it's the only time that I can, and I don't know what it is, whether it's endorphins or some shit, I don't know. But I can switch off from everything around me when I'm at the gym.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, maybe you're out of breath or you're so focused or whatever. It's the only time in my life where I can literally turn everything off.
Yeah.
For that couple of hours, half an hour, whatever I train for whatever that session, when my brain kicks into gear, that's when I leave the gym.
Yeah.
And my PT, Dan, he's yesterday, he was like, dude, pack up and go home.
Yeah.
You're already at work.
Yeah.
He can see when my mind clicks over, and might be something particular happening on that day, or a big meeting, or something I'm anxious about. Yeah. And I just physically can't train that day. Yeah. But I think it's really suppressed a lot of anger as well. You know what I mean? Because of, you know, it's that exhaustion of energy. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's that energy is just pumping up, and I roll into work. When I get into work, dude, watch out. Justin, you know when Justin's there, eh? That's, mate, I go through that joint like the Tasmanian devil in the morning, eh? Like a whirlwind just spinning through the factory. Mate, this morning someone gave me you know those old horns off the old like T Model 4s, like yeah. Someone gave me one of them on Wednesday.
Big mistake,
dude. 7:15 this morning, walked into the sales office. I'm like, I want everyone fired up. Let's go. You know what I mean? And it's part of the culture at Patriot Campers.
That's so good that you've identified that you need to.
I need
do
to train
certain things.
I need, not want. Need to train.
That's how I
have to train every day.
Yeah,
I have to do it Monday to Friday.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is the exact same for me because.
So you do the jiu-jitsu thing?
Oh yeah, every day.
Popular now, huh?
Yeah, every day.
All of my little cousins do it.
Yeah. Oh, it's for me. It's a non-negotiable. Like it sucks. Like sometimes just the timetable because it's classes. Yeah. Like I just can't. Like
mornings or nights.
I'll do both. I'll do whatever I can.
Right, so you're right into it.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that for?
3 years.
Jesus.
Yeah, I've done like national titles, state titles.
So if it gets nasty up in here, dude,
we're on.
Yeah. Wrap me up like a pretzel.
But for me, man, like, and what it is, and last year, so I still ride motocross a lot too, like as much as I can.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
But the jiu-jitsu stuff, like, that's the place where the me, like I was saying before, like the story of who I am and like the story I tell myself or hear about, that's gone in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Like I'm not me anymore, and I'm not even.
So you get the same thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
And so that
it's odd, huh?
So the term for that is called absorbed flow. So when you're so absorbed in a task that you're doing that, because I mean, fuck, I could literally talk to you for hours just about this in itself. Okay. But
say I've never delved into it. No one's ever asked me about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So this is interesting.
Well, it's a big change in my life. Like the self, like the story, the anxiety. Like whenever you're thinking about something that happened in the past, something that happened in the future, then you're in this you're selfing. Like it's like this process in your brain, right? Yeah. But that process isn't required for you to move your hand and do shit and fucking lift weights and box. Like that's more this like prediction thing that's going on inside your brain, and it's predicting these motions, it's predicting these movements, and like you as Justin, like you're actually the last person to know about those things. So that when you're in the gym and you're boxing, that process of like the past and the future and the this and the that, it just takes a back seat. So, and that's what you hear athletes talk about, like flow state. So that's what you're getting into. So like every morning you're tapping into that space where the self, the story that you tell yourself, that goes away. And you can just be absorbed completely.
Well, that's exactly
in
what
happens.
You're doing. That's exactly, man, and I've never. We should probably have a catch up maybe after this.
Yeah.
Because I'd be pretty keen to hear a bit more about it, because it's like it is something that I need to do now. You know what I mean? And I'm so much. I mean, my head since I started training, dude, is just so much clearer. Yeah. There's no two ways about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I need. It's something I have to do. It's like sleep.
Yeah.
It's training to me is like sleep. Yeah. It is exactly the same state of emotions. When I'm tired, I need to go to sleep. When I need to train, I need to train. Yeah. Whilst you're sleeping, you shut down. While I'm training, I shut down. Yeah. The feeling when you wake up after sleep that you're ready to go, I get that 20-fold after training, which obviously people do for obvious reasons. But I mean, that whole training thing. But man, real quickly, I've been meaning to ask you something. I'm going to change the subject for a sec. What I did see one of your YouTube's interviews with Ricky Carmichael and Chad Reed, eh?
Yeah.
Do you know those boys?
Yeah.
So how did that all come about?
So from filming, I've filmed with those guys for forever.
I was in Anaheim the last time Ricky, Chad, and Bubba raced. I was there. I was in the stadium, dude.
At Anaheim 1?
Yeah.
No shit.
I was there. So you know that whole crew?
Yeah. So when I lived in America, I filmed for Red Bull pretty much.
Right.
So like I had my own production company, but we worked pretty much exclusively for Red Bull. Yeah. So like I've been, man, like me and James, at one point, like I don't really talk to him anymore. He kind of like really fell off the radar, which sucks. Yeah. But at one point, dude, like James would fly me out to his house. Like anytime anyone, like any of his sponsors requested that he get some footage
you
filmed,
were out there.
I just jumped on a plane.
Well, I didn't know that until I'd done a little, obviously, I'd done my research before I come down here. I'd done a little bit of research just to find out what this was all about.
And like, so Carmichael, mate, he's the fucking dude. Yeah. Like, he's the lord of all lords. Dude.
Well, he seems like, even in that interview, and I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched maybe 10 minutes of it or something like that. Yeah, he seemed like a lad.
He's a G. I went to the first time. It's funny. This is like a funny business story. I don't know that I've ever told this on the podcast, but this was like, you'd probably resonate with it. So we get hit up by Suzuki to do this official launch video for the new RMZ 450 at Ricky Carmichael's house. So it's at the goat farm. I'd never been there. Anyway, that we'd been fucking around with drones before DJI was a thing. So we had Reds and we had this fucking ridiculous CineStar 8 octocopter that we built, and like all that. Me and my business partner, we just anyway, the thing was fucked. We couldn't get it to work. It took off, smashed in the house. So anyway, we took this job with Suzuki knowing full well that we fucking weren't going to be able to do this drone. So we'd already organised a helicopter, like a real helicopter. So anyway, we fly in. We're like, fuck, the drone's not working, and like we had a hope that we were going to get it to work, but we were pretty convinced. Well, like we're having a fucking plan B. So yeah, anyway, we just full fake it till you make it. We called up the heli pilot, and that fucking helicopter pilot flies in, and we ended up pulling off this shoot. But like, man, me and my business partner at the time, we were just like, fuck, are we idiots?
No.
Or like,
dude, and it was motivated.
And it was awesome. Like the shoot went great, and there's actually this sick photo. I don't know, I feel like I could get it, but there's like a photo of like Ricky Carmichael like standing on one of his jumps with his arms out, and like you can see me in this big heli, and we're like standing right there. So
that would have been a fucking good time.
It was crazy.
That would have been it, because that was in the, you know, that's when Supercross was king, and you know that, you know, between those three, man, like even because I went over there. What was I doing there? My brother was working for Subaru, and I went over there for a surprise visit with him for his birthday, and his boss at the time, massive Supercross fan, huge Supercross fan. And I kind of just lined up, you know, we're watching all that shit from back here in Australia. And this is before Instagram and Facebook and all that sort of stuff.
You couldn't really watch it.
Man, you had to stay up till 2 a.m. to watch the Supercross, you know what I mean? And you had to have Foxtel and all that sort of stuff. And it was like big events and my mates, because we were all riding back in those days and that. Yeah. Not Supercross level stuff, you know, we're just trail riding and whatever. And I got over there and, I surprised my brother. And then the next night, they surprised me and took me out. They just told us we were going out for dinner, and we arrived at Anaheim Stadium, and I didn't know what was going on. And then you start seeing all the jerseys as we're parking and going in. Oh,
sick!
And then I didn't know who was riding, who was racing. Then to see all those three,
see them
those three together on the track, man, like it would have been like watching a Michael Jordan game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I saw that. I was there, you know. And Anaheim, well, you'd know.
Fuck, I was gonna say, like, that is a coolest
spectacle, dude. Yeah. That's a proper show.
Have you been to Marvel, the event? Did you go to Marvel Stadium for the Supercross?
No.
So when that gets going again, like obviously with the COVID, they didn't run it last year. I don't know. Hopefully they get to run it this year.
Yep.
It's fucking on par.
Where's that?
Marvel Stadium in Melbourne.
So
the Aussie boys.
Okay. No, I've never been to an Australian Supercross.
Yeah, so
my kids never got into the dirt bike thing,
Yeah, it's
I tried. Not a bad thing. I tried. You know, I tried everything I could, and they just never took to it like we did when we were kids.
Yeah.
You know, not a bad thing, but they would have been good at it.
Yeah. Well, they got the cars.
Yeah, they're into that car. Well, they're more into boats, funnily enough.
Oh, really?
Always have been, man.
And what kind of boats?
See, we don't put any of that shit on. That's our private life. We don't put anything on social media. Always been tinny rats, but now they've got the Thundercat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so they've actually, Ashton did a video.
What's a Thundercat?
Yeah, like a pencil hole inflatable. I'll show you some videos after, man. We'll Ashton had a video that went viral on social media of him him and his Thundercat just standing on the back pencils for like 2 minutes down the Narang.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, dude, like they're sick. They do like, it does like 92k an hour.
Yeah,
and they've got a 20-foot bullet with a 300 XS Merc on the back.
That's too much.
Yeah, that thing does like 90 mile an hour. So they're really into their boats. Like,
Yeah,
and they always
awesome.
have been really into their boats because we've always lived on the Gold Coast and we've always lived on the river, you know.
Yeah.
Even when I was a kid, you know, at the age of like 14, it was having a tinny was like having a car.
Yeah.
And that's where the boys have like grown up, you know.
Yeah.
And we just went and raced the dinghy derby.
Yeah, yeah. Is that a Red Bull event?
Used to be. Red Bull pulled the pin on it about 3 years ago, something like that. So I think Red Bull sponsored it for 2 years. It was a pretty big Red Bull thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they pulled out of it a couple of years ago.
The dudes that win that shit are
hardcore,
like hectic motherfuckers.
Dude, you are in a 3 meter tinny, 1.6 mil aluminium, like it's like a fucking Coke can underneath you. And those guys are doing 95 kilometers an hour under those logs, eh?
Oh, it's
have you seen any of our stuff on?
Nah, look it up. What is
Dude,
it?
just go Patriot Games Dinghy Derby. Just have a look at the teaser from last year, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
It's wild.
Which one would we be looking at?
Oh, just there's 3 episodes. I don't know if we've got a teaser up there for it. No, just go to the top one, man. Just go tinny bashing. Just fast forward to the kind of log stuff. Oh no, sorry mate. Go back. Go next. Oh, here we go. There you go. Go there. Anywhere from there.
Dude. And so, are you guys fabbing these things up and like building these things up?
Yeah. We didn't build the kid's current boat. There's my wife there. That's Sarah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's my brother Bobby. But yeah, we got the new episodes launching in like in 4 weeks. But you're going through these creeks. See, I told you she was sexy.
Yeah, she's
You
hot.
go through like 70k an hour in those things, you know?
No joke, dude.
Yeah, there's my dad. That's my daughter. This will be a good clip. Watch this. This is Log Creek. This is the gnarliest creek on the whole track.
Really?
Watch the shit. We're going under, dude. Watch this.
All this.
Look at this on the right. Look at that.
Oh, have you done the
Sick, dude. It's good fun.
Have you done the jet boats in New Zealand?
Nah, they've been calling me over, eh?
Really?
They want me to go and race. They want me to go and race one of those jet boats over there.
Dude, we should definitely get you doing that.
So we've got a contact in New Zealand. He's been not hassling. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. Not in a bad way.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's been contacting us for the past couple of seasons and wants to get me over and put me in a jet boat. New Zealand. Funnily enough, our storeman at Patriot Campers is the president for Australian jet boats. So he's been trying to get me to go for a ride in one for a while. It's just one of those things that we just cannot get it to line up. Every time they have an event, I'm already committed somewhere else.
Yeah.
But these boys over in New Zealand, they want me to come down and drive one for a round and film it for Patriot Games. I'm not a very good passenger.
Yeah.
I'd rather take the drive than take the passenger ride, to be honest with you.
We went and did a content thing in New Zealand at the start of last year, like right before all the COVID shit.
Yeah.
We went on one of those jet boats, and it was actually somebody reached out to us through the podcast.
Yeah.
So they listened to the podcast, so we got like this sick treatment. You know, that was just us. There was no paying customers.
I'm down for any form of motorsport, anything with an engine, any sort of racing. You know, it's funny now that, you know, what we've done in business has now given me the ability to do all the things I wanted to do when I was younger, but just couldn't afford them.
Yeah.
I have a trophy truck now, Dad. Like, I have a trophy truck. Can you believe that shit?
Wait, that's the most ultimate toy.
I go into that. I go into that part of the factory every single day because the truck is housed on site, and I've got 2 guys on there full time. Dave Spanners is in the show, and Steve Jack, my engineer, oversees the whole thing. He's ex V8 supercar guy. And I still every day I'll walk into that factory, man. The first place I go is I go and have a look at my truck. You know, we're talking about success before. To me, that is a token of success. You know, I said before, you know, that I could buy a Ferrari if I want. I don't want one anymore. I want my childhood dream, and I've got it. Like, I've got a trophy truck. Whether Fink this year is going to be mass. Yeah. Whether we do well.
I'm half thinking about racing Fink on the bike.
Do it. Are you fit enough?
Yeah, I could get through it.
Make yourself fit enough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super fit from from jiu-jitsu. Like that's the one good thing about jiu-jitsu.
You should, mate,
is I don't have to do much else.
Do it because I think it'll be one of those things, and it was the same.
It's going to be fucking huge this year.
Oh, this year is going to be
bullshit.
Mental, and the gear that's coming out this year, man. Like Toby with his new truck,
with his new truck.
There's so many new trucks coming to Australia. There's a big dollar four-wheel drive coming over for our class now. This year's going to be big, man. Bike entry's already done.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, I probably can't even get in.
I think you're
anyway.
out. Yeah, I think they've already closed. They opened last week. I think cars open on 1st of March.
Well, one of the coolest things about the podcast, one of my best mates, Sammy, is like, he owns Fist Handwear, you know, like the glove company.
Yep.
Yeah, so, but he's pretty much like, I just rope him into all my dumb shit because he's the only other person that can like just dip on work, and he's kind of like you for gloves, you know.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it'd be sick to race it even in a Can-Am. Like,
well, have you been out there?
Way. Yeah.
Oh, you've been out there. Yeah,
I've been out there probably 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, your brother will be out there this year. So yeah, we got a big setup out there, man. Even if you're not racing, come out this year.
Yeah,
we'll get you on the camera, dude.
Yeah. I'd say we'll get out there at some point.
Oh, it's the event that we look forward to every year, man. Fink is like the biggest. That is our family holiday of the year.
Yeah,
it's Fink, and it has been for 5 years now.
It's just such a special place.
It's spectacular. And whether you're into motorsports or not, I don't think you couldn't not get hooked on the romance of Fink.
Yeah.
When that sun comes up over that red dirt, dude, and helicopters start pumping through, and you hear the trophy trucks coming through.
There's a smell of all that race fuel.
You hear Toby Price coming through, dude, with that thing just balling and just working the ass out of that truck, and the sun's coming up, dust everywhere.
Scream too,
don't they? There's nothing better. I saw it for the first time in like 2010. I went out there with a buddy.
That was my first year out there.
Was it?
Yeah.
We drove all the way out there just to go and see it, and we camped in a swag on the side of the track, man. And I was...
How fucking cold was it that year?
Freezing. Oh yeah, dude. I do remember that year. That was freezing. We had a plague of rats run over us that year in the middle of the night. And I was in like an open-ended swag, dude. I ended up sleeping in the car.
That was full gypsy life for me then. Yeah. So that was me and Toby. That was Toby's first Fink.
Yep.
And me and Toby flew out there together. No, maybe I flew out there in Jeff Leask's private plane.
No, stop it.
And then, but it was like we had fucking swags everywhere. We were pissing. We drank a carton of Coronas and we're pissing in an orange juice bottle the whole time.
In the plane.
We couldn't get to the toilet because the shit was like completely
everything
chockers.
Jammed in.
And then we get there. And the first night we're staying in a hotel or whatever, I was documenting Toby's first Fink.
Yep.
And so then the second night was we camped, and they'd forgotten that they needed to get me a swag. They'd done like the count. So I slept in, I don't know whose F truck it was.
Yeah.
And I was
freezing.
Fucking freezing.
I remember.
I've been in Alaska.
Yep.
I've been all through fucking Europe in winter. I have seen some cold places.
Yeah.
I have never in my life been as cold as I was.
Funny
that
the
night.
Things you remember, eh?
Oh.
I wouldn't have remembered the temperature out there until you just said it, but it was cold that year.
That fucked with my head, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of those nights where I literally think I grew as a man.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was probably, I think maybe like 22 or something at that time. And like, that was one of those times where like, you just doubt your ability to do your job. I was just like, why am I fucking here?
There's nothing I hate more than being cold, dude.
Oh.
Well, give me heat any day of the week, eh?
Yeah, that was hectic.
I don't like being cold. It's just not in me. I'm tropical.
Well, I better let you get to this meeting. Almost kept you for 3 full hours.
That went quick.
It goes quick, doesn't it? There's so much more I could talk about.
Yeah, we haven't even touched the surface. Man, that was fun.
I really appreciate it, and man,
well, mate, I appreciate you having us down here. I really do. It's humbling that that you want to hear our story, and you think your audience wants to hear our story, and I hope this gives it a little bit more insight into the background of who we are and where we come from.
Yeah,
it's good collaboration stuff for us, and I've really enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, and I've personally taken a lot from your story. Obviously, you've got the business aspect, and you've built an insane business, but then to put yourself out there and your family out there on the internet in like the YouTube space, there's not a lot of people doing it. the way that you guys are doing it in Australia. And that's one of the things, like, I actually don't really have that many people I can even relate to in this kind of deal in business in terms of the content and stuff.
We're in
Australia.
a unique spot, man, and we have. I don't think it's kind of. I'm not saying nobody's ever done it, but we're definitely in uncharted waters.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It is. There's always going to be that synergy between Patriot Campers and Patriot Games. They're always going to go hand in hand, man. It will always be a brand that belongs to our family.
Yeah,
irrelevant of where it goes into the future, you know. But we are very focused on the growth of Patriot Camp. We didn't even touch on that. We didn't even go there, you know what I mean? But the big focus for me for the next 12, 24 months is to get my house back in order, get Patriot Campers ready for what COVID's brought us. You know, the tide's brought us in an economy now that's focused on spending money in our market sector, and that's what we really want to focus on into the future.
Does that excite you? The fact that, because I mean, it's a full topic we'd have to kind of go into, but I think a lot of people are real doom and gloom about the COVID situation. But
it's circumstantial, man. I feel for the businesses that haven't survived through COVID. You know, I really feel for, the mum and dad operators, and your takeaway stores and your cafes and all those guys that took the big hits right at the start. I've got a lot of really successful friends of mine in real estate that own shopping centres and that, man.
Yeah.
Some of the horror stories I've heard from those guys, man, is a lot of people hurt through COVID. So not, I don't want to seem like, we're like rejoicing over the fact that COVID's here, because I want it gone as much as the next person. But what COVID has definitely done for our economy and any other economy around the world that has a travelling segment, it's putting all our money back into domestic tourism. And Australians are going to spend the money here, man. They're not going to go spend it in Bali anymore.
Yeah.
And again, we could talk about this for the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
But that's so good for our country, man.
And I think it gives us a chance to kind of rewrite our culture a little bit.
And it should.
And we should look at it as an opportunity to go, like, for me, like, my message has been like, dirt bikes are rad. Buy a fucking dirt bike.
It's the same message.
Yeah, have the experience with your friends, like,
and have it here. Have it here. Leave the dollars here. Put the money back into our economy. Put it back into Australia. We are on an island. We're friggin' secluded. We have the most beautiful places to visit in the fucking world.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is no other country in the world that has the diversity that Australia has, and Australians have got to be patriotic towards Australia. I can say that, and I can say that with another agenda that it's selfish because of the market that I'm in.
Yeah.
But there's so many other businesses and so many other opportunities, for people to capitalise on what's going on in the market right now.
Yeah.
So that's where we're pushing Patriot Campers. Patriot Games will take a little bit of a back burner for me for the next kind of 12 to 24 months, whilst I'd kind of get the kids moving up into the forefront if they want to take it, and that'll allow me to take my business to the next stage, because we're ready to grow again. We're ready to go.
I really appreciate it, mate. I've enjoyed this chat tremendously. So
I thought I would, and I did. Met all expectations. Thank you very much for having me.
We'll definitely do it again.
Yep, for sure. Cheers,
Thanks, mate. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.